buddy. And of course I say hi and the dog has to bark.
Yours was like, hi.
Just saying hello.
Hello, hello, hello. We got Miss Mia Moore Michelle, and we've got the lovely guest CDT and ATS News in the house. Great opening. Thank you, Molson. Hi, chat.
Thanks for having us.
Oh, heck yeah. Dude, it's a pleasure. It is my honor to have you two on my channel. Always. I love you guys to pieces. And I just think that your level of intelligence and the way you look at cases, I have nothing but respect for both of you. Very, very much.
Thank you, and likewise. And we're happy to be here to brainstorm for sure. And hello to everybody in chat.
There you go, Mel Mac.
Mel Mac and Rosie, and yep, Katie the puppy's excited too because I say hi, and then all of a sudden she has to start barking. But hey, you know what? It's not the helicopter. So I mean, we're making progress, I think. Shalima, Pink Dahlia, Nadie, BR the Star. Hi, KW. Katie. Winter Lover. Pink Dahlia, I do have a Dr. Pepper. I'm not going to lie. I saw you put that in the chat, and I had to chuckle a little bit. I was like, she's like, I bet Theresa has one. I do. It's actually almost gone. Almost gone.
We were chit-chatting for a little bit, so.
Yeah, we had a chit-chat for a little bit.
Got her Coke.
You got the Coca-Cola? Okay, so
Diet Coke.
Mineral water.
Mineral water.
Amber's all healthy over there.
You know, healthy. Oh, jeez, you two. You belong on the same side of the screen. You and your waters.
You're over there. Something else.
You're a little bit more healthy than me, though. You got Diet Coke.
That's true. No calories. Yeah. I like.
Look at her face. She froze.
I'm gonna turn my camera off.
Oh no! Don't do that. I love your face.
She probably gets better. When I'm in the other room, it does that to me.
Yeah, better feedback.
Really?
Yeah, having the camera on honestly slows things down. So I might tap out here and there too, but no worries.
All right. Well, at least she's got a cute picture on here. So if it's frozen, it's a good one. It's all like whatever.
Come back.
Let's get her back.
Amber, I love the color in your background. Dahlia says. I think Dahlia says. I was like, she literally perfectly goes with my whole stream.
I know, it was just perfect fit. Now you have to replicate it.
I know, it's like that. It's crazy. So it's like I could just put you on full screen and you really fit with the whole thing.
It's crazy.
It's like purple fog. I love it.
I know, I like it. But I like how the glass is like it reflects. It has that little reflection. I'm like, okay, she looks so studious because it's like got the little computer in it all the time. And it's always like, yeah, like I'm looking, I could see you. You know what
I
I
love
mean?
it because you can't see like the bags under my eyes too. So it's just like, ha.
Give me a break. You guys are gorgeous. You guys are absolutely gorgeous. Purple is my favorite color, Katie says. Yeah, purple, pink, the teal blue.
The whole mix.
You guys will know. I think everything I have for anything on here is.
Yeah,
pink,
you're
purple,
aesthetic. I
teal.
love it. I love
I
your
know.
beginning,
Which one?
your intro.
Oh, that's all Christine. Is it? She's amazing.
Great.
Does her thing.
So good.
Yeah, I was like, we have like 3 or 4 of them on here. I can't even remember what there is, but there was like a couple short ones, and I was like, I want like a longer one, which everybody's like complaining about these longer intros, but I'm like, I want a longer one because it takes forever for the flipping notifications to go out, and I can't I'm not that fast. Like you have to hit the freaking go live, or you have to hit the intro and then the go live, and then then you have to be like ready, and I'm like, I need a second. I have to.
Yeah, join, and it's nice to see all the faces of like the victims too. Like I just get this piece. I don't know. It's like a piece in my throat when I see Shanann, though. I don't know. It's just something about that case. Like I seen in the intro, and I was like, oh.
Yeah, I don't think it'll ever go away. I think all of us have that thing with the Watts case. I have a hard time covering or even looking at coverage of it anymore. But when I see her face, it does. Or the girls really get me.
I think I ended when Sandy put out her when she went to go visit them. It was like almost like a 35-minute, and she was just trying to explain her side and why they say it the way they say it. And that's when I was like, you know what? I think it's just time to put this one down for right now. I was not that heavily invested into it anyway, but
yeah. And now this Dylan case is like another rabbit hole that I'm just in disbelief over just a different culture, I guess, out there. Like, obviously I knew that there's people who like to live off grid. I'm not like ignorant to that, but now I'm just realizing more and more, especially the fact that people felt really comfortable speaking to the PI versus like regular law enforcement. I'm just like realizing like the climate out there is just like, it's just unlike any other case. Like it just seems like very lack of transparency to the public, also from Fox Elder and any of the other ones. I mean, even FBI. I mean, we haven't really got, and I don't see even much coverage, in the media on it. I saw like one article that I shared in my Facebook group about it, but it was just, the latest that I'd seen is they did a search yesterday, and they're just, the title of the article was amping up searches for Dylan. And that was talking about Thursday. And I'm like, but then we have locals coming out saying like, yeah, we see like agents, but it's nothing like, oh, wow, like grid search, this and that.
No good searches. So which one of you guys got sucked into the Dylan case first, Kelly or Amber?
I think Kelly asked me if I had heard of it, and I had seen, obviously, because I'm always in all the groups and all that, and I'm like, I'd seen his face already, like just this picture with his plaid shirt, and I'd been scrolling and just seen it, I knew the story and I knew like the headline, and then Kelly asked me if I'd been following it. She's like, it's a little bit crazy, and I'm like, okay, like take a look. Sure enough, it's just, I fell down it deeper than just the title of the headline and seeing his face. And now I'm just like I said, I'm just in disbelief at how different this case is to follow, even through the media. It's just nobody's out there, and I see why.
Does it remind you guys of Summer Wells?
Maybe the communication errors, I feel like, because like I was saying earlier, I kind of feel like I'm just listening to his call. You start to almost understand. I'm very city oriented, but I almost understand exactly what I'm not even making sense when I say this, like what they're saying. I don't see the bad. I don't want to use the wrong words here. I feel like they get a lot of shit, but I'm starting to see some of the good popping through with these people, and more of them just wanting to police their lands from the tweakers, that there is separateness out there, that you do have these farmers that are just trying to do their thing, and and then you have this tweaker stealing situation going on, and they just want to protect their crops. I feel like all the characters are starting to unravel a little bit more now. Like the way I felt about Kurt last week is not how I feel this week at all.
I agree with that.
I keep saying that, but it just keeps.
Yeah.
What do you think, Kelly?
I wonder too where it would be if Candace hadn't right out of the gate came to YouTube pretty much. I mean, she went to the media, but also she did the YouTube rounds, and now she's been quiet. And I guess since they now have a suspect, and it does seem, in my opinion, I think they do have some type of direction. I'm starting to get a little nervous that he hasn't been officially charged, but I don't know how all that works. But yeah, I do wonder if she hadn't come out being so vocal and loud about it, where it kind of would be. And then it was like the PI call gets released, and then he goes onto a show about it, and then it was just like a ball that keeps rolling and rolling and rolling. And I feel like with the Summer Wells case and this one, I kind of feel like we've learned a lot in the Summer Wells case, and same with Dylan's case. But at the same time, we haven't learned a lot. It's like what we know hasn't really led to any kind of answer or piecing the puzzle together that makes any sense with either case right now, I feel.
Yeah.
But I am glad
agree.
they have a suspect, and that they said physical and forensic evidence.
Okay, so I'm gonna back up just a second there because I'm struggling with this. So like, and as in every case, new information comes out and you kind of go like this. So like people are like, you flip flop, but it's like, no, I'm kind of just playing all sides here. So last week I was really down this whole path with the Jim Brenner and like, okay, it looks like they're on the right path and they've got this guy. He's, they've already got him locked up on federal charges. I'm struggling with Kurt now. Hey, Parker. I'm struggling with the Kurt stuff right now, and I'm going to tell you why, and then you guys can tell me what you think. And if anybody in chat is unfamiliar with anything that we're talking about, please feel free to ask questions, because I know that we've covered it a lot. I know they've covered it on both of their channels. We've covered like the backstory here a lot, so I don't really feel like we need to go back through all of it. But if you have a question, please ask so that we can make sure you guys know what we're talking about. So this last week, or it was probably the week before, parts of this phone call with Kurt Wadsworth start getting released. And then this week, the full entire call has now been released. It's like 2.5 hours long. Some of it is really blah. I don't even know another word for it. It's kind of blah. And then other parts, you're like, oh, wait a minute. Did I just hear that? So it's hard to listen to because you have to listen to all the things that are like being said. But some of it's kind of just repetitive, weird stuff. So that comes out, and it made me go back, and I started listening. Once again, I started listening to all of Candace's interviews at the beginning, and I started listening to the old calls, like the first calls with Kurt and True Crime with Jess. And there's just some weird stuff, and I got a little bit uneasy feeling about it. So what do you guys think? Where are you guys at? You guys think that we're headed in the right path with Jim? Do we think that there's like a bunch of players involved? Do you guys think it's totally somebody else like Chase or Robert? Or are you back with the Wadsworth? Where are you guys kind of going with the whole thing?
Well, I'm very disappointed that we don't have the phone calls really anymore. Like, they've been removed. Like, even Zav Girl did, like, unless somebody in chat knows if she reposted it.
So Zav Girls went to members only. And
Okay.
it is there, but Perplexed QT just put up the entire call with music behind it, so that you could tell that it's like hers. Michelle, lovely Miss Mia Moore, has reached out to Salty Pancakes to see if we can get our own copy, so that we can just have a straight copy with no sound that can be used by anybody without being copyrighted. So hopefully we can get that.
For research purposes, for sure,
Right, like that's not something, in my opinion, that needs to be all monetized and copyright claimed. It's just we're all trying to figure out where the hell Dylan is, and I hate that crap. But she has the right to do that, so I have nothing against her doing it. But if you want the call in full, without commentary, she does have it. She posted it this morning. Hopefully we can just get our own copy, and if we do, then I'll just send you a copy.
And Zav Girl, I think Zav Girl put it back up today, and I think they comment through it.
They do. Well, I was watching hers, and they comment through it. Her and Bella, and they have good commentary, and they have people come up, and it's great discussion. But for the purposes of just wanting to hear the call, I just want the call.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I adore Zav, and so I think that I have no problem listening to her commentary over it. I just want both, if that makes sense.
Right. Totally makes sense. And yeah, I don't know. It's just this. As far as Kurt, I was sort of like with you. I thought, they had their suspect. They were going down what seemed to be like a good route. However, it just seems, even though they have like the forensic data and the physical evidence, I'm just wondering, without Dylan, like how far can that get them? You know what I mean? And then just listening to, sorry, I'm just looking through my notes, just looking through.
No, you're good.
Kurt's interviews, it's just been so like up and down as far as, he came out with Crime Time with Jess, and it was very, admiring Dylan and praised him and this and that. And then as the interviews went on with other people, it seems like his attitude and like, I don't know, just his vibe towards Dylan was like, he's messy. It was just totally different. Like all I have to say is I feel like we've gotten two sides of Kurt, and I don't know which one is even the truth. And I think that there's probably a third side of Kurt that is the truth. And, we're trying to weave through all his BS because there's just a lot of inconsistencies and a lot of evolving theories with every interview that came out.
Well, that's the thing too. There's so much of this that look, we catch ourselves. It's like you hit the restart button almost, every 2 hours because there's something else that comes back out. And you normally think in a case like this, when you do have like the little crevice that we want, I feel like between Jim, locals, everybody, talking, coming forward now, we don't still have anything. Like Kelly said, it's not. I don't think that's a good thing that no one has been officially charged yet, and there's no claims of a body, no. You've had these guys now in custody for enough time.
Right. So, okay, so I'll throw my opinion out there. I don't believe that Chase has anything to do with this. And I know that there's going to be people who are like, you can't rule Chase out. But I honestly, I think Chase is totally a separate issue of drama. I don't, you guys can agree or disagree. I don't mind. It doesn't make me mad or anything. So at this point, and next Friday, I may totally disagree with myself at this moment. I feel that Kurt was, so one of the things I went back to and I was listening to is one of Candace's very first interviews. It was like probably 3 weeks after he had gone missing, but it was when it started to pick up a little bit more of the media attention. And she makes the statement that the call where Kurt calls and says that Dylan is being held hostage by Chase and Robert. She says that Kurt called her Tuesday and told her that. Which Monday's the day that they report him missing, and Tuesday, there is no psychics and stuff yet.
Right, and then Kurt says it was 8 to 9 days later, Kelly?
Yeah, exactly. He says 8 to 9 days later, but you're 100% right. Candace said it was Tuesday the 31st.
Right. How does that make sense?
But Kurt, now see, Kurt does say that his wife is a psychic, then goes on to say that his wife called a psychic.
Right. That whole part was.
His daughter told Kurt what she had saw, and he repeated it back to this pancakes kid, and that was kind of what the phone call was. Like he was going through that, and
I think it's exactly what CDT theorized during one of her week live streams, and there is no psychic possibly. It's just an excuse. So.
Well, supposedly he went and told that salty pancakes guy that Jim Brenner was the psychic.
Yep.
Helicopter's coming. It's a little late today, but it's
weird.
It's making its way around. So so I find that whole thing is very, very odd to me. And when I went back and heard that, because obviously when I was listening to it the first time, that really meant nothing. I'm like, that's why I like to go back and listen. But I was like, wait a minute, Tuesday.
What really concerns me too is remember when the PI was like, I offered the Wadsworth 10K to pass a polygraph, and and Kurt came out saying like, yeah, no problem, I'll take it. You know what I mean? Do you remember that, Kelly?
I remember something about it, but
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So the polygraph didn't happen, obviously, but what's concerning is if Kurt came out with this psychic story according to Candace so soon, and then came out to YouTube saying that it was 8 to 9 days later after he's been talking about a polygraph with a PI. Now he's talked to Reverend Donna, who is another psychic. So, essentially he might be fulfilling some sort of like, well, I did speak to a psychic, you know what I mean? Like in case he's ever questioned under oath or whatever. I don't know. I'm just thinking like why he would go to Reverend Donna was very strange to me also.
because he needed a psychic. This is kind of what I'm
But
going
see,
to. Like, I feel like
and
he
also,
needed
I
the
think-
psychic.
Yeah. But then also on Jess, I feel like he said something like, I haven't dealt with sidekicks before. And then it's like all of a sudden, now he's going to Reverend Donna. It was almost like, does he need to try to prove, like, oh, I do like psychics?
Right. And then, like Black Dove mentioned, he's all against the lifestyle of, whatever. If Dylan was gay and all that, he's against that. But, because he's Mormon, but psychics are okay. Like it just made no sense as far as where his ethics or, whatever lies. He's sketchy. I'm telling you, I feel like he knows more. I don't know what level, but I wouldn't be surprised. He kept saying, I'm telling you, in that interview, it was like, with all the interviews together, he said, I don't know where Dylan's at. I don't know where he is. Like he's screamed it numerous times to numerous people when people didn't even ask him, like, do you know where he is? Like, it was just like offering up like this very convincing, like over and over. And I'm just like, this guy knows, like he knows something. And like in my gut, I just don't know if it's Jim did something and then other people found out and helped, because like I'm saying, the more I dig it into this and the more I'm realizing it's really not like Summer Wells to me. Like Summer Wells, Don was on probation. There was some sort of check and balance in that case. And you at least knew that there was 911 calls and stuff like that we could kind of reference and dispatch. Here, it's just, I'm telling you, like with the Wild West, like it's not just like a little like cliche in this. Like it really is like they're policing themselves if they have to. They don't really make an excuse for it too, like if you come over here, yeah, you're gonna get shot at. What do you expect? Like that's their type of
I really don't. Yeah, I don't even have a problem. I know that the whole thing that they're arresting all these guys for is the fact that they're felons with guns, and I get like that. Obviously, that's against the law. So I'm not like saying, hey, go break the law. But I get that they are out there alone. There is no protection for them if some crazy ass person comes for them. They're alone.
That's
their felon or not.
That's their
Right.
crop. That's their everything.
And that's what I'm realizing the more I'm seeing this case. And I'm like, wow, like they're talking about Montello being the only place to kind of, get a beer and this and that. But even deeper, it's like, there's no gas stations. Like, it's not like it's nothing out there. There is nothing out there.
Right.
Like so vast, like searching for Dylan right now, I'm realizing is like searching for somebody out in the ocean. Like that's what I'm realizing as far
Yes.
as the gravity and the vast.
That's a good analogy.
It really is. I think it's interesting though because there was so much time in between where he goes missing and the cops actually care enough to like really do anything about it. And I'm not even sure at this point what kind of dogs have gone out to search. Like, has there actually been like search and rescue dogs? Has there actually been cadaver dogs on this property? Hi, Allison. You guys know?
From what I know, I for sure is cadaver dogs. I know that.
And where did they search?
That's what I mean. That would be impossible. I mean, think about it. It would be, I mean, even if they had the dog out there for 2 hours, it's so hot, it's whatever. I highly doubt this dog made it everywhere because we can't get searchers to hit everywhere.
No, but I'm just saying, where did these dogs actually search?
But that's the thing. I think
Let me see. Because
Okay.
I know the Facebook page kind of had a little elaboration, but not much. But I would assume the grain shed area where his boots were found. But again, I'm just assuming. I'm not sure, because remember that the truck wasn't processed until when,
right.
His pickup truck, they took his pickup truck that next Sunday and took it home.
Right.
But
So
then
by the time-
Candace had to bring it to state police, correct?
Yes. So I don't know if that ever got like a sniff through even with a dog or when it did,
And
Right. And they've not even actually confirmed that, hybrid Pisces. This is an absolutely valid point. I'm lost in this case because there's too much BS mixed in with all of it. 100%. So where was that? Okay, so they haven't even confirmed that there was actually blood on the boot. Like, that's never actually been confirmed by the lab.
No, that apparently
It was blood.
Yes.
They don't know animal or human.
That's ridiculous. That's a very easy test.
Is that correct?
because like Justin,
No, I mean, I believe you. I'm just saying, but that was the other thing is they said that they had taken the boots in to have them, examined, and then Candace said that 4 or 5 days later she found out that they had never actually taken the boots, and and this is from Candace. So you guys take it for what you want. That they kept that the police kept the boots in case the cadaver dogs needed the scent, is what she was told. And as soon as she said that, I was like, cadaver dogs are not looking for a scent. They're looking for cadaver smell. They don't need his boots. So that was, if they actually told her
And
that, there's
she
something
even
real flippin' fishy
did,
going
like,
on.
she knew better than that. I
Right.
agree.
So did they actually tell her that? But then she also turns around and she's like, well, now the search dogs can't go out there because, it's rained so much and so on and so forth. But that's also not true. They can go out there. The search dogs can go out there anytime and look for his scent.
I mean, I don't know if Justin actually saw it himself, but in that interview, one of Justin's first interviews, he seems pretty confident that it's that hydraulic fluid or something. He said that it gives off the.
But then they're saying it is confirmed that it was actually blood. Go ahead, Amber. I see you found something good.
in the group, it just basically says searches in the area took place by Box Elder Sheriff Office along with Weber County Fire and Rescue with helicopters and airplane ATVs, horses on search parties, and cadaver dogs. So plural is in dog, like more than one dog. And then it says after 6 hours, they called off the search because they were 99% sure he wasn't in the 3.5 mile area. So
Where was that at?
this was on June 7th, and it just pretty much doesn't give like the specifics. It just says that they searched 3.5 mile area radius.
Okay, well, I have an issue with that. The grain truck is 5 miles from his home.
Right.
So why wouldn't they at least be searching a 5 mile radius?
And then
from his trailer? No?
Thing said that they've searched 3,000 miles. So I don't know what dogs were doing those 3,000 miles or how many or what, but like you said, those conditions cannot be like, it's rough. Like the sheriff's office spoke in that one article that I was telling you guys about. He pretty much said that it's exhausting. I mean, just imagine. So in that term, it is sort of like the summer wells because you just know the terrain is brutal. Like who would want to be out there? Like there cannot be anybody who's like, okay, like here we go, guys. It's just like,
let's do it again today.
Especially with the wind and the sandstorms. Like I can't imagine going out there. And I give anybody out there props and everyone who's helping. Like wow.
Yeah. So that doesn't say anything about search and rescue dogs then.
Not that I've seen. Yeah, and I haven't seen anybody or pictures. And that's the other thing is summer wells. We saw pictures, TBI, and these searchers and these volunteers speaking on camera. here, there's nobody even filming. Like Doug on No Thanks is the only one who has these locals calling in and saying, we drove by Kurt's, Justin's truck wasn't there, but he had to go home and visit his kids too, blah, blah, blah. Like these people are giving us updates through YouTube. And I mean, honestly, it's like you said, I don't know where this would be without YouTube.
So yeah, I don't think it'd have much coverage at all. And if
No,
like,
it
I think
has-
Kelly said this, I don't know if it was before the live or during the live, but if Candace hadn't actually gone to the media, social media and mainstream media, if she hadn't done that, I'm not sure how many people would actually care. This kid would be, this is like the epitome of, we talk about like Oakley Carlson, and we talk about like Harmony Montgomery, how these kids go missing for like 2 years, and these are tiny kids. Now you've got a grown ass man, or older child, whatever you want to refer to him as, and nobody gave a crap that this kid was gone.
Yeah, it's just, it would have been swept under the rug like everything else we're realizing happens out there. I mean, those people, everyone that's in custody right now had warrants out for them. Like, I'm realizing, like, where is the POs? Like, where is the accountability? Like, if we at least knew, even though things went awry in the Wells house in the other case that we were referring to, for those who don't know. But, we at least knew that Don was checking in with a PO or whatever. There was some sort of somebody who could say like, yeah, I know that hasn't done drugs on this, if we needed that information. These people out here, just, it's a free for all.
So what do you guys think about why, and if this is legit or not, that James Brenner was actually put into this, motorhome or camper or whatever you want to call it, out by the grain shed? And, because there's multiple different theories about why they put him there. What do you guys think about that? Or do you think he was just out there squatting? Any one of you?
As of right now, I mean, I'm obviously confused. I don't know, but it's just interesting to hear it said that, he owns property near Montello, 10 acres, I've heard, either a cabin or trailer burned down. Then he lived with Kurt. Kurt says himself, Jim lived with him for about a year. And then I've heard it said that he started getting in fights and hit some, elderly man with a chair, and that Kurt sent him out there.
But Kurt doesn't own that property.
But then I've also heard it said that Ed. Exactly. So I'm like, what is Kurt's relationship with whoever owns the property? Because I've also heard it said that Ed is, and then there's the other name out there, Chechio, but whichever, sent him out there for security.
Well, then you also have the Sheldon guy now, the John Sheldon guy.
So my whole thing is, like, I want to know
that. Who's the watchdog.
Right. And why? That's the thing, is like, say that theory is correct, the theory that he was put out there as like a watchdog for whatever reason. When was he put out there in relation to when Dylan started going out there? Like, I want to know that timeline. So if anybody knows, let me know, because that's like one of my questions. And yeah, like you were saying, Kelly, from my understanding is there's like more than one story about why he's out there, pretty much, like why Jim's out there. Jim was living with Kurt, and from what I'm thinking, Kurt, obviously, who runs this bar, makes money off of regulars, clearly, who are drinking, and Jim was probably a regular and was probably feeding a lot of income to the bar, if he's an alcoholic, like people are claiming. So it was in Kurt's best business interest to kind of be like, yeah, stay with me. And then Jim gets approved because he's got knee issues. He gets approved for disability. So he's able to kind of be like financially like more independent. So then, Kurt, from my understanding, is Kurt put him out there. But then people are backtracking saying that it wasn't Kurt that put him out there. Kurt's claiming it wasn't him, right?
Or Kurt obviously had to have something to do with it if he's staying with Kurt, and then Kurt doesn't want him staying there anymore because he's bad for business or whatever. I guess I'm kind of confused. Why does anybody need to send him anywhere? Just tell him to go away. Why do they need him anywhere? I think that's my kind of where I'm going with that, is like they put him particularly there for a reason. Who put him there? Why they put him there? It just doesn't make sense because, oh, he's causing all this trouble in town, so they need to put him somewhere. No, you just tell him to go back to his own place.
Is he like renting from Joe Cecchio? Because it says, I'm in my notes, Kurt says Joe Cecchio owns the land, but he leases it to Ed Harshberg. Ed moved Jim there, according to Kurt. After Jim and Kurt lived together, they eventually had a falling out. And then Jim was put out there as a watchdog. And then I put, why does he need to be out there? And also it's like, is he renting that property? Because I'm wondering, are people wanting his like disability check now that, because all of a sudden it was like as soon as the disability got approved, they move him out there and he doesn't need to live with Kurt anymore. And I'm like, is he like renting? And like they realize that like, okay, he's got a flow of income because of the disability check. Like it just seems like a whole business reason, like you're not just going to put somebody out on your land or whatever if it's not benefiting you. So was he out there to guard what? That's what I mean. Is like, when was he put out there? What year?
Mm-hmm.
Bought that property in 2016 in the one that's over near Nevada or whatever. Where is it? Either way, it's his property that had that cabin that burned down.
Yeah, well, I've heard Nevada, and I've also heard Idaho.
Okay, I'm thinking I don't Nevada, know. But I don't remember 100%.
Is it closer to
I've heard Nevada.
Okay, so Nevada. We'll go with Nevada.
Okay, so that was 2016. I don't know when it burned down, but then I'm hearing through all this stuff with Kurt that I think he was living with Kurt during 2020, maybe. I don't know. But so then that would mean he was put out there after that. I don't know. If I'm wrong, please let me know.
I'm going down the same path with you. I'm seeing it that way.
I need the timeline of when, because maybe it has nothing to do with Dylan, but what he's watching out there and needing to be out there for, I'm confused on. Like, is it really for watchdog purposes, or is it just because, like I said,
what is he watching? Empty land? Because the shit. If it's prior to Dylan being there, and Dylan's just getting his grain and stuff now, so it's not like he's protecting the grain shed. He's not. He's protecting the property itself. I mean, I don't.
But
I feel like there are tools and stuff. Maybe. Like
There's
there
what?
was equipment on the property. I don't know, but that's a good question. Like I wonder if there was equipment that Ed or Joe, whoever owns, that was just sitting there. Maybe, I don't know.
Maybe because this guy has a grain shed that has nothing to do with Dylan's property that they're farming and stuff. So why does he have this area and stuff? Maybe there was some sort of something in the works, and then Dylan was put out there, or maybe it coincided. Like, we just really need to narrow down Jim's placement, Dylan,
and why. Yeah, who put him there and why I think is important. I don't think that this guy's just causing trouble in town, and they're like, oh, go put him out there. Yeah, water, propane, other farm chemicals. I agree.
I wonder. Sorry, I feel like there's a lag. I'm not used to having a lag, but I think there's one.
That's okay.
But real quick, I was going to say, I wonder if that Michael Moore local, because I feel like everything he has said so far has been backed up. He came out before we really knew a lot about Jim Brenner, I feel, and talked about how he would shoot at people and he was violent, this and that. Well, I wonder if he would know the answer to how long James Brenner has been out there.
Oh, probably.
Very good, Kelly.
Probably. So,
yeah,
the two people in Brenner's arrest affidavit, it has the initials, and I'm gonna have to look at it. Who are those two people? Because this was where I always came into having an issue with. This says
Dawn.
No, DH. Yeah, but who are the two people that he's supposedly renting or squatting on their land?
Okay.
Because it's not JC. It's not.
I think that's right.
I'm gonna go look for it right now. Hold on. I have it in here somewhere. Because I think that It's also very weird that there's so many players in who owns that property.
Yeah, they did. I remember Crime and Justice looked up. Are you talking about the property that Dylan bought?
No, the property that James Brenner was squatting on.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I don't know about that.
Because this is one thing that I did agree that could potentially have something to do with it, was the fact that Dylan was apparently trying to potentially buy this land as well. And so they were looking into like the water rights and things like that. So Amanda says Billy Tony, regardless of other stories, I'd love to know why T started her own, but totally you. Annie, I think that'll all come out very, very soon. So you just stick around. Totally understand. I don't want to discuss. I definitely don't want to discuss why we're talking about true crime. That'll be a totally separate thing. Billy and Tony and Hirschberger. Okay, hold on. I'm gonna see if I can find those initials real quick.
What was the timing of when Jim James was put out there? Was he was out there before Dylan bought the farm? He was already squatting there?
SH and RI. So the defendant was squatting
I
on
don't
property
think we
belonging
know.
to SH and RI.
Wonder if he was put there to
That's the big mystery. That's what I want to know. And what was that, Theresa? I'm sorry. I mean,
SH and RI. That's what it says, that he's squatting on the property belonging to SH and RI. So who is SH and RI?
it couldn't be.
I wonder if maybe does Ed have a different first name, and that's the H. But I don't know, honestly.
Yeah, so Amanda said Billy and Tony, so that would be a W and a T, or if it's Antonio or something. But Hirschberger, H, well, that would fit with the H. Does anybody? LFT, I'm behind too. Where's LFT? I just realized I'm behind. Please excuse my somewhat off-topic comments. That's okay, both of you. I adore you both, and you can have off-topic comments all you want to. I just want to. I don't know who those two people are, and this is where it got really confusing, because they were talking about that the Checchio guy owns the land, and then they talked about this John Sheldon guy who everybody's kind of confused on like what he does, and somebody was thinking that he might be just like a broker of the land. So I don't know. SH and RI, if you guys can help me out with those two, I'd love it. Annie Elise did a great video explaining all the people. All right, I'll have to check that out. I haven't seen that one yet, Amanda. Okay, so that was the other big thing. So they put Jim out by this grain shed, and the reason I wanted to bring that up was because Dylan drives the grain truck, supposedly drives the grain truck, Saturday morning because it's raining, and he's going to park it in the shed. Why in the world it's now raining, and why does his mom say he would walk 5 miles back?
That bothers me so much. That's a long walk in the rain.
That's a long walk, even if it was the desert type, no rain. I mean, it's like 100. I think the other day Ty said it was 105.
But now Kurt, I hate to keep going back to this, but his interview, he says that grandma now doesn't remember. And again, I don't know how much we could take of Kurt's words, but has it been confirmed? Like, has it been said again that this actually happened? Like, I feel like there might be little things that, like, things
Which
like
part?
him calling grandma and saying,
Well, supposedly that's been proven with the phone records that it's 6.
No, but like what he said to her, like, was that actually true? Did he actually have to run back? Did he really need a ride? Did he end up, maybe it was just to get her off the phone to go do what he had to do? Like, I don't know if everybody's specifics are that specific anymore.
I think it's possible that it could have been some sort of signal, or maybe he wasn't alone at that point. But again, according to Candace, like in the early interviews, she even uses the word frantic, like about him needing to get off the phone or something along the lines of,
like he was in a hurry, basically.
Yeah, like there is like a real. I want to say she used the word frantic.
Is it possible that
she did? She had panic.
She said what, Kelly?
Sorry, she said, yeah, she's panicked. He was in a panic. She said that on one of her very first interviews.
But Candace is relaying what Grandma told her, that he was in a panic because he needed to get, because it was gonna rain, and so here's the, so let's say he's supposed to walk back, okay, and then but he doesn't, and so bringing in this new conversation that we hear with Kurt and Salty Pancakes, Kurt references right off the bat. He references the crime scene. He calls it the crime scene, and Salty asks him like, "What do you mean, with crime scene? What are you talking about?" So. And Kurt tries to explain like, well, that's where the grain truck was, and that's where the boots were found. So it's kind of like a crime scene. And Salty lets it go. That bothered me a lot. That he said that he calls this place the crime scene, because one, the crime scene does not necessarily mean it's there because that's where anything was found. And the reason I say that is because Candace specifically says, and I think it's like one of her, like if not the first interview, she talks about how they found his boots. And his boots they found him on Monday, right? Monday afternoon. They found his boots, and the boots were just kind of there. They were just kind of thrown there. They were not wet. They were not muddy. They were not anything. And it had rained Saturday, Sunday, and Monday. So why are we thinking that's a crime scene? So he wants you to think that's a crime scene. Why does Kurt want you to think that's a crime scene? I have a problem with that.
Well, I think one of his
Either-
theories, he was
Yeah, it's either two things. Either it's the opposite of what Kurt's saying, or he knows more and it's coming out slipping when he's drinking and stuff like that. I don't know which one. What do you guys think?
He starts morphing in his conversations. He starts out crazy, but you can hear it kicks in. When you're on hour 2 and then you're hitting hour 3, he is just more and more dramatic, and his words are just awful. But I do think his story and that crime scene and the individuals he's talking about, I could definitely go off of his theory for sure, that Dylan was met there.
Well, the boots are put there, but the boots have to be put there then after Saturday, Sunday, and probably sometime Monday, because if the boots are completely dry and there's no mud and there's no nothing, one that shows that Dylan did not walk back home, right? So, and if he did not walk back home, they want you to think once again that the crime scene's back by the grain truck. But if the boots are dry, that's not the crime scene because the boots would be wet and muddy. Do you see what I'm saying? So then you have, this is my other issue that I have. So Grandma calls Dawn, and Dawn goes and gets Jim supposedly, and Dawn and Jim go, and they're supposed to go look around Dylan's trailer and whatnot. Well, there's no tire marks. And I have to cough, so you're going to have to talk for just a second.
There were no tire marks.
Yeah, I always have said the track, I'm just obviously not used to that terrain, etc. But Candace did in an interview basically said that she was very suspicious that if Dawn and Jim went out there and searched in the manner that they claimed that they did, why was there no evidence of those tracks? Because then she said once they came out on that Monday, they were leaving tracks everywhere. But it was like no one had been there. And so that's why I still question Dawn. Like, I want to know what those conversations were like between Dawn and Jim, and what kind of story did Jim possibly tell Dawn where Dylan was. His pickup truck is sitting there, and why wasn't it until Monday that the alarm was finally raised? What did they tell Grandma exactly? Because we've kind of heard Candace relay, she thinks they probably told Grandma not to worry, but we obviously haven't heard from Grandma to know for sure what those conversations were like. But yeah, the no tracks from Dawn and Jim is weird.
When did Jim hand over his guns to Don? Like, when was he like worried?
I have the document up. I'll see if it tells us. I don't know off the top of my head.
Well, look at all these cool folk coming in all back to back. Hi, Jen Lou. Hi, Wolfie. Hi, Marshall. Hi, Steph. Look at that. Boom, boom, boom. All my favorite ladies on the same screen. Yay. Hi, MJ. Like, see, like they almost just got the notifications. This is why you need a really long intro. Just say, totally kidding. I apologize. I've been sick for like a week, so like when I have to cough, it's not a pretty sound. So I didn't want to I had to mute. So back to, okay, so yeah, so they're supposed to search there. They supposedly searched Steve Day. Heck no, you're not blocked here. They're supposed to search Sunday, but there's no tire marks for any vehicles. According to Candace, there's no shoe marks, no boot tracks, no nothing around the camper. Once again, that it's supposed to, it's been raining Saturday, Sunday, Monday, and there's no tracks anywhere. There's nothing anywhere. So yes, okay, so the rain comes in and washes away all the tracks, but yet Monday there's still tracks from the people who are there Monday. That bothers me a little bit. So like, did these people never go there to check on him?
I don't think Kurt's the only one who.
It seems like it.
Mm-hmm.
You guys think that they did go or didn't go?
Didn't go. And another thing that kind of backs that up, not really in reference to Jim or Don looking, but just Kurt claiming that he's driven how many miles? 600 something miles or something 100 miles on his motorcycle. And then people were pointing out how in the Salty Pancakes video and stuff, he looks not very like sun exposed.
This is true.
Like they're not really looking.
It's just.
Okay, sorry, I was coughing again. Okay, so if they don't go look, why would they not go look? What would their motive be?
I have a thought. What
Okay.
if Don is lazy? We don't know who Don is. He gets a call from Grandma. He's like, I don't work at that farm anymore or whatever. Let me just call Jim. He's 5 miles away. He can deal with it. He calls Jim. Jim says, oh, he told me he was going to Montello for the holiday weekend. He should be back Wednesday. Or I don't know when he'll be back. He went to Montello with Kurt, per se, hypothetically, or he went to Montello with whoever. He's not here, but his pickup truck's there. I'm sure he's fine. And what if Don really didn't physically go out there? He just physically called Jim. But the problem with that is the way that we're getting it relayed to us, it makes it sound like Don told the family he did physically go there. That's how I'm processing it. So I'm just wondering, or is there something more nefarious where Don possibly knows more? I mean, we don't know Don yet. Ty has said he seems like a good guy, etc. But that doesn't mean a whole lot to me. We just don't know him yet.
Right.
No, and he's the one who's hiding the guns for felon James Brenner, and
Yeah.
also tries to keep one of the guns
Yeah.
because he feels like he's owed. But yet, why does he care if he's owed when he supposedly is retired now and has $20,000 and is just going to go fishing all the time? Why in the world does this guy care about what he's owed from the prior owner of this gun? Like, how does that make any sense?
And then called back the next day and was like, oh yeah, blah, blah, blah. And like gave over that other gun. Like, what the heck?
I don't think he went. I don't think they went. I think you're probably right. I think that he probably calls Jim and he's like, dude, have you seen I'm not driving out there. One, it's raining. I don't work for this kid anymore. We got in a fight. I quit. He fired me. Whatever you want to believe. Like, I'll go tomorrow when it's not raining anymore or whatever. Jim, have you seen this guy? Have you seen this kid? And he's like, no, I haven't seen this kid. Like, there's supposed to be a barbecue in Montello. So yeah, he says he's going there for the weekend. And maybe he did. Maybe he took the grain truck out there. Maybe somebody picked him up from where the grain shed was and took him away, but didn't take him away dead. Because this is why I was asking about cadaver dogs and search dogs. So if they killed him there and it is a quote unquote crime scene, no cadaver dogs picked up anything around there. They don't have search dogs, then we don't know which direction he went. So that bothers me.
Yeah.
And then you have James Brenner, who's just oafing around doing whatever, doesn't have a clue about shit, and then now all of a sudden there's boots that are found there. Dry boots.
Yeah, I'm thinking that it didn't happen there. I've kind of been leaning that way because it, like you said, something would have been sort of a signal of a crime. So it must, maybe it's the opposite of what Kurt's saying. You know, he called it a crime scene. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm thinking it's not a crime scene. I'm thinking that he's telling whoever, like, hey, come pick me up over here, because I have to drop off the grain, I have to drop off the grain, so just pick me up over here, which is why there's no tire marks, no footprints, no nothing around his trailer, because by the time it starts raining, there's nothing left, right? The truck obviously isn't moved, otherwise there would be, Dylan's truck, I mean, there would be some type of tire marks from the truck. So it's like whoever somebody was like already either with him and was just taking him from the grain shed and took him to wherever.
Yeah.
And then this is where things go bad. And now they need to make it look like the last place that he was, hey, so at what time, Saturday, he's within 15 miles of that place, supposedly, because that's where the phone pings at 3:41 in the afternoon. I don't even know how I feel about this stupid voicemail. I don't even know if there is one or not. What do you guys think of that?
But that's what it is. Is that panic word, like, was Dylan possibly meeting someone there already, or glanced over, saw a car there already, and that was his panic to grandma? And that's how they
If he didn't tell his mom that he gave Chase a ride, how do we know that he wasn't with Kurt or somebody when he called his grandma? They're in the truck together, and he's like, I got to get over there. And like, they're assuming that he's walking there. It's 5 miles. Like, I don't care how young you are. Nobody wants to walk that far.
I agree.
And
I think that's part of the main issue, is they're assuming that he was by himself that morning moving his grain truck.
Agree. And like, he was panicked and in a rush. Why the heck? Like, come on, he got a ride there. He knew it was going to rain, according to Kurt, remember? And everyone else said that he knew it was going to rain and it was perfect timing. So then why would he have planned it so that he had to walk 5 miles? Like, I think we're all on the same kind of wave that it's possible he was with someone.
Yep.
And with Dylan being the way, his mom describes him, like, and even how everyone else describes him, like a hard worker, etc. And then Kurt says Dylan knew the rain was coming, and that's why he wasn't worried about getting his crop in a little bit later. Why would he not have put the grain truck in the night before or something? It just is so weird. And another thing Kurt said, and I cannot remember which interview, and I could be totally overthinking it, but he said, I want to say it was with I think it was Jess, and he's talking about how he was with his daughter, has an alibi, which, first of all, his own daughter, I don't like that for an alibi, his own family. But anyway, he said, we woke up late that morning. And then she's like, who, you and your daughter? And he's like, yeah, and her husband and kids. But I'm thinking, when he said, we woke up late that morning, like, I would just really love to know where Dylan woke up that Saturday morning and where Kurt woke up that Saturday morning. I think that that's important. And the way he stated that, and then Jess is like, or whoever, I think it was Crime Time with Jess, but like, who, you and your daughter, kind of put the words out there and he grabbed it. But I don't know, that little part just stuck with me.
Now, I'm just going to throw this out there because he is 19. Let's just say that no one knew the why behind who Dylan was meeting by that grain shed. Let's say Dylan had a pre-plan, and maybe this was, on Dylan's end, he's doing something innocent, maybe possibly meeting up to, buy something. And I'm not saying drugs, meaning maybe just some weed or whatever. And maybe Kurt didn't know, maybe not too many people knew that, but he knew when he was going and where he was meeting these two, that person, whichever. He's on the phone with grandma. He's not going to tell grandma what he's actually doing. And he's like, okay, great. We get this done all in one shot. Meet them, get my da-da-da-da. And that could be anything. I'm just putting weed out there as an example.
Or what if, so we know that he was seen in town on the 26th, right? And then there was the rumor that he was also seen in town on the 27th, but that never came to fruition.
Right. According to the family, Kurt kind of changed his story on that. But according to Kurt, he claimed he saw Dylan the 27th, and I'd have to check my notes, but other members of his family did too. I'll look at my notes, but I want to say he said his daughter saw him, and he was standing right out there going to go get some grub and whatever. But Kurt...
On Friday, correct?
Yes, Friday the 27th.
See,
But
this-
then the
yeah.
family put it back into their timeline. Like they took it out and
Exactly.
then they put it back into the most updated one.
Yep. 'Cause I'm looking at mine now, and that's exactly what it is for the 27th. I just don't. I don't think that his call with Candace about Chase was 100%. There was some things left in and left out. Same thing with the phone call with Grandma. You know.
Yeah, I'm there with you. Like, I feel like him being in such, but the thing that's kind of putting me like, I don't know, is Candace said that the green truck, there was like ruts or something that looked like it was stuck in the mud at one point or something.
The grain truck, yeah. Like it was being moved while it was raining, because otherwise, if it wasn't already raining, why would there be like the grooves in the ground?
Okay, so then in the timeline and everything, so say Dylan was in a situation where he had to get off the phone with his grandma. I just don't get why he would call his grandma to be like, I got to get going. You know what I mean?
Supposedly his grandma called him.
No, other way around. That was misinformed.
Ah.
Well, because I think either he had dropped a check off that needed to be cashed or something. He was paying back his grandparents. He had just I scored a big job or something like that. And
Well, he had that $30,000 check, but I thought he'd already given that to his grandparents. He didn't. That what does that have to do with talking to her Saturday morning?
but they could just be conversing. Like, if I'm going to do something with my grandfather the night before, we talk that night. We're going to talk that morning. We're going to talk that afternoon, probably.
So does he just call Grandma because he's calling Grandma and he's like, okay, Grandma, I'll call you later because I got to get this grain truck moved because it's going to rain. And there is no like weird, like, there is, I mean, it may be a panic because he knew that he had to get the grain because it was going to rain. Or is, I mean, I guess I don't understand that, because from my understanding was that Grandma called him and he was like, hey, Grandma, can't talk right now. And the dog is playing with her squeaky toy. So I apologize. But he was like, hey, I can't talk right now, Grandma. I'll call you later because I got to get this grain truck moved. But if he's calling Grandma, that doesn't make sense.
I think either way,
That's what I'm stuck on. And well, another thing I'm stuck on, because even in that article that came out today that I was telling you guys about, I mean, I'll send it to you too, but it says in the most recent article that Dylan called his grandma.
Yeah.
And she said in one of her very early interviews with Sleuth Mom, he called Grandma. But she has said it a couple different ways, but the media, like Amber, you're saying, has reported it as either there was a phone call or he called a family member.
Yeah, like they've been specific to say a call took place between Dylan and his grandmother, or in a way that doesn't tell you like who called who. And then the ones that do tell you in the media say that Dylan called his grandma, because what's that guy's name who's been running it in the mainstream? That Ortiz guy?
Oh, I don't know. I've only been listening to Nate in mainstream.
Oh, well, that other Ortiz guy has said that Dylan called his grandma too. Also, I mean.
Yeah. I don't see that as like an uncommon thing, especially if he was close to them. He did this farming thing with them. You know, I'm sure Grandma doubled down as possibly a second mom to him, like my grandfather does with me. I don't know.
I think it's just like the fact that he called her and then was like, I got to get going. It's kind of like, why bother calling them?
Well, then maybe that the ride showed up.
No.
He kind of turned around, boom, there it was, and he had to go.
Yeah. And then he omitted that and everyone just assumed he's walking.
Right.
Or Grandma doesn't know that because she's like, just Grandma. You know what I mean? Like, my mom probably couldn't tell you that about anything, even at her age. She wouldn't even be paying attention to that. So
he's not
that's my thought, is that somebody was with him. What if he didn't stay in the trailer that night? What if he had stayed at Kurt's and Kurt's the one that's driving him out there to move the grain truck?
Exactly.
Or picking him up at the grain truck and taking him back to town because he's like, it's going to be raining all weekend. You're not going to do anything out here on the farm anyway. You're going to be in town at the bar. hanging out with us and with the
Definitely
barbecue and stuff. Why is this kid gonna stay there anyway? Just leave your truck there. We're already out and about doing stuff. I'll just take you, leave your truck and go move the grain, and let's go back into town.
I definitely think it should be noted and on the table that it's a possibility that he wasn't alone that morning.
For sure. For sure.
And that's interesting, Kelly, that Kurt said we.
Yeah, I'll find it, the minute mark. It just stuck with me.
I agree, Marcy. Yep.
I don't think that he stayed in that trailer.
I do believe, I don't know if it was for all the right reasons, but I do believe he had his own version of a bond with Kurt, and Kurt, I guess was looking out for him in his own way. He knows things about Dylan that, you only know certain things like that if you're spending you're spending a lot of hours together, and he's known to have slept there at night for comfortability.
Yeah, but Kurt makes sure to say that they did not stay in this trailer together. Kurt makes sure to say that, like that, he just let him stay in his trailer. So, okay, whatever. Whether they were dating, whether they were not, I really don't actually think that I don't think it actually has anything to do with anything at this point. So I really don't care if Kurt comes forward and says that he dresses like a woman or not. Like, I think that he
never will.
That doth protest too much kind of thing. Like, he's like so adamant that if he found out Dylan was gay, like he would banish him from everything and never speak to him again. And it's like, okay, there's other gay people around there, right? Like, you never banished them. So what the hell are you talking about? Like, you're weird.
I don't think that gay theory has anything to do with anything, but I do think that it speaks on Dylan's relationships, possibly. Not so much Dylan. I don't care about that. But just trying to define who is who with Dylan, and because you have all these people talking.
I think it's interesting that Kurt threw out the idea that some girl was into Dylan from the big city.
Yes.
That to me was kind of, I don't know if I believed that whole ramble, but I don't know.
From the big city?
Mm-hmm. But he also says that Dylan, if he saw a sexy woman on TV and he'd be like, oh, I want to that, Dylan wouldn't really respond. And he said he found that odd. And then I believe Candace did say he did not date at all in high school. Again, has nothing to do with, just probably more speaks on who and how he connects with people.
I just don't think I believe Kurt, like, as far as the girl. And because, hopefully he gave that information to the FBI because this kid's missing. And if there was some girl from some other city, we need to know who she is and all that. So it's like, I just wonder how much of what Kurt is saying and doing is just to throw attention elsewhere and away from him. I just don't know why.
Mm-hmm. And I also feel like he has this almost like, he has this jealousy thing because, as Salty Pancakes is talking about how good Dylan did, scoring that job and he compares himself right next to. But basically, just like saying how he didn't have it that easy at that age. And, that's where I kind of feel like I do believe certain pieces when Kurt is describing Dylan. But when Kurt goes off with his stories and things, no. I feel like there's a lot of BS in that.
I agree. And if they had a relationship or not, no one knows for sure. But it's like, I can see why the PI went down that road. Like, we were all trying to figure out, like, who did he spend time with? And in any case, you look at who they spend a lot of time with, whether it be a romantic partner or a best friend, whatever. So I get that, but it's, I don't know. I just really think Kurt saying, like, if I had known he was gay, I would have cut him out. Like, I think that is pure distancing.
I agree.
Oh, yeah. I totally agree.
Why that is open for debate, but yeah.
Right. I agree. And I just realized also, like, take the whole rumor that they were in a relationship together out of the equation. The fact that Montello and that bar was the only place that really Dylan socialized at, and he was staying out there, even if it was just stay in my camper while you're out here, I have running water, it's kind of like, sorry, Kurt, but you will be under scrutiny and you will kind of be cross-examined at every angle, and he's very angry about the gay rumors, which is suspicious, but at the same time, it's like in all actuality, he spent the most time with Dylan. Like, that is very alarming. On what level, I don't really care, but the fact that he's the closest one to him, I mean, but at the same time, somebody was pointing out how in the Nancy Grace interview, Nancy was giving Candace a hard time for not really like wondering more about Kurt or something.
I didn't really take it that way. I'm going to be honest with you. I just listened to that interview again, and I did not take it like Nancy Grace was giving her a hard time. What she was giving a hard time about was that the rumor of this call supposedly was like a ransom call, that the media was calling it a ransom call. And Candace was like, I never said that. I never said that it was a ransom call. All I said was that that the person had called us and said that he was being held hostage. So somebody took hostage and turned it into a ransom call. And so she says, okay, well, who was this? And she says, it was Kurt. Like, let's clear that up. Like Candace says, it was Kurt. Let's clear up right now exactly who that is. We don't know why this guy lied to us. And that's when she says something about it being on the Tuesday.
Gotcha.
That he called her.
Okay, I didn't watch the interview. I just heard people saying that Nancy was really honing in on Kurt.
She did hone in on Kurt, and she thought it was really weird.
Yeah.
And obviously that call is prior to James Brenner being arrested or knowing much about him. But Nancy she was like, this guy, why would this guy call you, the mother of the missing kid, and tell you that the kid's being held hostage and he doesn't know if he's dead or alive and that they're probably beating the shit out of him? Why would this guy call you and say
red
that?
Flag. I don't. It's huge red flag. I mean, even with Jim Brenner in custody. You know what I mean?
So then I'm going to go back to the James Brenner thing, because everybody's like, well, Kurt's not in jail. That means doesn't mean anything to me.
He's not in jail.
Yeah, but to me, it's like, does Kurt have federal warrants, or has he been caught doing something that is worth like federal charges or even criminal at this point? Because James Brenner has. They went there to search, and James Brenner was found to have all of this ammunition that he's not allowed to have because he's a felon, and it's not the first time he's been caught. So when he was arrested, the other 3 times he was arrested for having ammunition and weapons, Dylan wasn't missing. So who did he kill then, supposedly? But I get, he is named, and this is where I was at last week with the whole thing. Out of him and Chase, the ones that are arrested, and Robert was in jail, but I don't even know what's going on with that guy. I think that guy's just a little patsy that was thrown in the mix just to be in the mix. But James is the one out of the people who have been arrested that specifically states that he is, a suspect in the disappearance of Dylan Rounds. But there's physical evidence. Okay, let's talk about the physical evidence. That's the last place that anybody knows that Dylan was, where the grain truck was, and his boots are found on James's property. So you've got those 2 things. If you have, forensic data that shows that this call at 3:41 comes from, within 15 miles, which that grain shed is within that 15 miles, you have now some forensic material data that is going to be able to back up that this guy would be a suspect. If James Brenner's cell phone is pinging around that area, it puts him in the area where this kid goes missing. But where does the phone ping during the grandma call?
It pings at the farm. And then I believe this was from Duty Ron. I'm going off the timeline. You have the 6:51 a.m., right? And then they had something ping at 3:41. It said law enforcement released the last call phone data that came from Dylan's phone at or near his farm. And that was on the Duty Ron interview, June 14th. So what's up with that? Has anybody heard any more to that? Like, has that been confirmed?
I think the 3:41 ping has been confirmed within the 15.4 mile radius. But then we had Kurt saying that Ed told him he left the 1-minute message around 4 p.m. But the family says no. His last confirmed physical voice, or they knew it to be Dylan, was the 6:51 a.m., which pinged closer, like to his actual Lucin farm. They were able to get a better ping on that or whatever.
Yeah, they're saying
Right.
the 341 ping is in, like you said, the 15.4 radius, and the farm is within that, but they just don't know exactly, which it's weird that they know the first call exactly was at the farm. So then the second one, I would almost assume wasn't.
So if it's 15 miles away, could that have possibly been because they didn't find his phone, the gun, right? And I think the wallet.
The wallet, yeah. Well, the 15-mile radius is the 15 miles from around the cell tower that it would have pinged off of, and then what's within that 15-mile radius is the grain shed and the farm. But the first one they're saying is like on the farm, supposedly, correct?
Yeah. Oh, it says on
Yeah,
the farm.
Yeah.
that's what they're saying. I don't know.
How's that possible?
Maybe Dylan said on the phone call, like, I'm at the farm, I got to get to the trailer. So they're going by his verbal words to the grandmother. I don't know.
If you watch the Heavy D Sparks, Candace and her husband, I think his name's Mike, are kind of pointing down, and they say, yeah, it was over in this area, but we think it was down here, because he would have no reason to be out any further. And I think that was when their mind, they were still in shock and processing, and probably thought he was going to be found right around there. So it was just interesting to like have them kind of theorize where they thought it was within that radius, because she said Dylan would have no reason to be further out or whatever she said. So we know it was right around there. That was on Heavy D Sparks.
Why wouldn't he have a reason to be further out? How do we know that? How would she know that? She doesn't even know he gave Chase a ride, so that she doesn't know that.
That's the thing. I get worried that there's no direction because the people in custody aren't speaking if they know anything. And again, I'm not taking Chase off the table, but I know what you mean as far as the heat from him is a little bit relieved, but I'm still have like my eye on him, especially since that whole encounter. And okay, so Chase is Kurt's enemy also. That's the other thing that I'm kind of like, okay. So then
and he just happens to know that that Chase is holding on to Dylan. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, exactly. How convenient. Send him over to his enemy's house, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's the thing about Kurt. I'm telling you, the more he's just so grimy and snake-like, I feel. But the whole thing that I was basically trying to say is like Candace, like we're pretty much all on the same page. Like she doesn't seem to know 100% of like, I don't think any of them, even Justin, like knew 100% what's going on out there. You know, like it seemed like Dylan was very independent, and you know, like my sister was more independent, and like my parents gave her a lot of slack because they could trust her and they knew like she was like a straight and narrow kid, you know. Yeah. But so I'm wondering if that's just how they were with Dylan. You know what I mean? Like he seems to have a direction, let him go, let him thrive, you know. But at the same time, everyone has their own life, especially at 19. You know, that's almost when you're starting to grow into yourself and like where you want to start your life and direction. And I just feel like law enforcement has very limited direction here. And I think the parents were like you said earlier, we're at the beginning just kind of in shock and everything. And I think that everyone's just kind of has no direction in a way.
It's true. And they're all just trying to pull what they think they know. And I think that's why P.I. Jim started such a thing, because we were getting something, you know, we were getting all the things. And now it just seems like we're at nothing. But is that the reason? I've been questioning that too. Are they not trying to make this a thing where these PIs get involved and they speak so aggressively and things like that, and the families have to send cease and desist and all that good stuff? I'm not sure.
Barb has to see her puppy before Barb has to leave. So there you go. She's a giant pain in the butt, Barb. And there she is. Oh gosh.
I love her eyes.
Yeah.
She's got super cool eyes. One brown, one blue. She is just a giant. She's just giant.
And to answer Marshall Dove's question, we don't have we don't know what the physical evidence is that kind of turn the investigation into a criminal one. It's kind of been kept a secret. I guess whoever was there when it was found promised Justin, the father, that they wouldn't tell anybody what was found. And then federal agents came and collected it.
Wow.
Yeah, but we don't know what that is. And there's like in the forensic data, we don't know what that is either. There's a lot of speculation on what all of that is, with it being like the boots and the blood drop on there and the cell phone, and now the supposed 1 minute message to the landowners at 3:41, but that's all just assumption based on what we're the hearsay that we're hearing.
How do we feel about the teams? It's almost like Kurt puts Robert and Chase together, and then you have Don and Jim James together, but they're all kind of apart at the same time.
Because I kind of feel like if Chase was involved, Kurt was not involved.
Exactly. Yep.
And I'm leaning more towards Kurt is sketchy to me.
Yep.
I want to know where he was.
Yeah. I'm wondering, since that Robert Aviles guy was in prison for so long, and like he doesn't have close relations to Kurt at all, that he was the easy scapegoat and easy to be like, look over here, look at this guy and Chase, they're very sketchy, and look at their history, because on paper, Chase and Robert Aviles look bad, and Kurt allegedly doesn't have any records coming up, and that doesn't mean that he's the good one out of everyone,
That's my point exactly.
Oh, he could definitely orchestrate whatever he needed to amongst his group of guys. He could separate them, keep them together. He could, manipulate, help them pre-plan, premeditate for sure. But what about the whole? I don't know if I'm believing the fight anymore, though. That Chase and Kurt, or that Chase had gotten beat up at all. Like, was he that bloody and whatnot?
See, Candace was asked that. I can't remember. I want to say it was on Zab, and one of them kind of pressed it like, well, do we even know if he really was beat up and bloody? And she's like, yeah, he was. And I think she said, again, correct me if I'm wrong or whatever, but I want to say that she said that locals corroborated that. Brings back flashbacks. That he was bloodied.
Okay, but then Amber puts up the post on her community wall that shows where Chase is saying he had his shoes and he just asked for a ride.
Yes, and Kurt says Kurt describes it as he had one shoe on and a sweater wrapped around the other. Candace describes it as totally barefoot. So it's just like a game of telephone, or is there more?
And that screenshot came from Stephanie Harlow's video.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay, because I wonder where she got it then.
She said she found it in a Facebook group.
That's weird. Okay. If anybody, I would think you would find it in a Facebook group, but
I'm everywhere.
No, but seriously, I'm like, that's interesting, but okay. But he does. He says that he just gave him a ride. That he on Wednesday, Dylan just gave him a ride. He had his shoes on, and he let him charge his phone. He was low on gas. I don't know. So, I know people are still really super suspect of Chase because of the whole weird that he left town on the 25th, comes back into town, and then has to leave town again on Saturday. But he was in town at the time that supposedly Dylan would have gone missing. So, is him leaving? Are him and Kurt really enemies? I don't know. Why does he throw him out there? And then why is Kurt throwing everybody out there? And if the crime scene is at the grain shed, then why did he think that Chase and Robert had him held captive at Robert's mom's house?
Exactly.
Now, that would be the crime scene then, no?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, especially since he talked about how spot on the psychic is and all this stuff, but it's like, but she was wrong.
Yeah. And then he seemed to have an issue with how many police officers they took to Robert's mom's house. Like, he was like, they brought 6 officers, this and that. And it's like, shouldn't you be glad that they're responding in this way for your missing friend. You know, I don't know. That was
Yeah.
interesting.
And I noticed Kurt's interview with Salty. Salty was like, he's talked to the police, what, 9 times? And Kurt was like, and Kurt was just, he's talked to, 8 times. And I'm thinking in my head, if an agent is calling me in 8 times,
Yeah.
that means not good.
Right, and I think that Kurt's not arrested because Kurt doesn't have charges to be arrested on yet.
Right. He has
Yeah.
no criminal record.
That's my thought on why that guy. But look at law enforcement in this Box Elder and even in Montello. Montello seemed to be more on the ball, but Box Elder wanted nothing to do with anything. So like in this, the Wadsworths are there. They're all there. They're not like, they're a pretty well-known family in this town of 50 people.
Right.
They're almost half of them. Shit.
That's what you have to like pay attention or realize too, is like, this is such a small community. Like, I mean, that's like a church, like that's how big their whole town is. And when I'm listening to Ty and other locals talk about the area and knowing each other and, oh, I know them. And I'm realizing like everybody knows everybody, even though they like to keep to themselves type of people. And they go to the same gas station, they go to the same bar, like they go to the same areas. So I just feel like that's even more reason to think that other people know about what happened to Dylan, even though Jim Brenner is in custody. You know what I mean? Like everybody just seems to know everything.
Yeah, if they actually had the evidence on him, on James Brenner, I'm thinking that there might be some different charges because as of right now, they don't even have him in Box Elder County anymore. He's in federal custody for his federal crimes.
That's what is starting to worry me too. And then also, I think it's interesting in the Heavy D Sparks video how Candace was saying that the people on the farm were pointing them towards town. And so I still do think Jim is involved. I do. But did he act alone, etc.? Like that just stuck out to me how she's like, they'll talk, but it's all just leads to nowhere.
All goes in circles because these guys all have dirt on each other. They've all known each other for a long time.
Yes.
So it's like, yeah, go ahead and say what you know about me there, Jimmy boy, and we'll see what happens to you, or vice versa. Go ahead, Kurt. Why don't you go ahead and tell them what you have to say about me? So, like, what were these guys involved in with each other that was already causing the rift? Kurt, this is where it brings me back to the beginning of our live tonight and why I have such an issue, because Jim was living with Kurt or staying in one of Kurt's places, whatever. Why did Kurt make Jim leave? And why would anybody find him a place to set him up so that he could go there and do whatever the heck he's doing? I'm sorry, I don't buy that while he's, doing crap in town. Make the guy leave, then just say, hey, see you later, dude. I don't know what to tell you. You're a pain in the ass. There's a reason that they had to accommodate Jim.
Yes.
So what does Jim know about Kurt that Kurt had to make sure that Jim was going to be okay and he couldn't just kick him out? I mean, shit, when I was young, I had roommates and we get in fights. We wouldn't live together anymore. You know what I mean?
And that's the thing. He's not like a child. I mean, he is a grown man. Why, like you're saying, why do they need to give him accommodations even if they're crappy?
The Philippines stuff?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, is that something that Jim knows about and would hold over Kurt's head or something?
Does Kurt know that Jim will be the one? Jim does have it in him to. How did he say it? Cap him or something like that? It was the way he said it. Like maybe he knew that Jim would be the one. Maybe this was part of it,
Yeah, like he knew Dylan.
Not everybody's a terrible person. Not everybody. They might be able to be there, but they can't do the act. They don't have it in them. And maybe Kurt knew. That's why I feel like Kurt manipulates a lot of these guys and has been.
Yeah,
young Dylan with money.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely possible. I definitely think, Kurt's being benefited by something by moving him there.
That's my thought too. And then you have Kurt saying, on this recently released call. You have Kurt saying these weird things about how, like, I don't have the call with me right this second, so I can't play it. But he says something in a very strange way about how Dylan, and then this happened, and then this happened, and Dylan said, I'm calling the cops, and then this happened, and then this happened. And the way he's like telling the story, it's like he was there and he's telling the story, or he's repeating how somebody told him the story of what happened.
Yeah, I feel it. Yeah, I definitely think it could. I almost lean towards somebody told him how it went down.
Exactly. That psychic is a somebody.
Well, psychic isn't. I think that's silly.
He's just using that, and because his
That's what I
wife is
think.
known to be one, he could say, "Well, it's my wife's friend," or
Yeah.
but my daughter also told me. So nobody can actually come.
But he's not familiar with psychics, so then he also says that. That doesn't make sense to me.
I agree. Do you think they're holding out on Kurt somewhere?
What do you mean?
It's too long. Like Kelly said originally, it's too long of time. There's no actual Dylan charges on anyone yet.
I feel like there's no Dylan charges in relation to Kurt yet, but if this Philippines rumor and stuff is true, like I bet you they'll take Kurt in for like tax evade something. They'll get him.
And I just happened to hear this last night, but did you guys hear like the bar is on Front Street and the PI's like, Front Street? Like, come on. It's called Front Street. I don't know. I'm just like, is there? And then the ICE sign. I mean, I wouldn't be surprised if this uncovers some bigger thing.
Oh, for
And-
sure.
And they were saying yesterday on No Thanks that they saw like 2 sheriff's cars. So, I mean, police are still actively there, obviously. But it's just interesting that they're still in Montello near the bar. Justin was outside the bar. Why was he there? Up for debate, but he was there. He's been there.
Yeah, and I think it's too convenient that even though Chase might, I don't know what level Chase is in on all this, or maybe he's just associated with bad things that others are tied to. I don't know, but him being on CCTV footage at just the right time is just kind of way too convenient for me.
Well, it's also convenient because he actually states that in his post. There are places that will have me on surveillance.
Yeah.
Like, I'm sorry, like I'm trying to think
Yeah.
like what I did yesterday and where I went, and I'm like, would those places have me on surveillance? Like, there might be places like people should check and see if I'm on surveillance in those places. You know what I'm saying? Like, nope, he's
Target.
adamant. People will have me on surveillance, and that's weird.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like, and again, the PI who worked the Schulte case and Kylan, he was commenting on this Dylan's Rounds case, and it was before Jim Brenner was arrested, and he was pretty much saying like that he's kind of still wondering about Chase because of the encounter and giving the ride.
Yeah.
Yeah, see, Chase seems to me like a lower level on the chain of command.
Yeah, like he's just like the grunt.
Exactly.
Yeah, like he
And
gets in trouble because he's actually doing dirty shit, but
Yeah,
not because he's in charge of doing the dirty shit. If that makes sense.
right. And they just throw him some meth here and there.
Yeah. It's like, hey, just shut your mouth. And we all know what happens to snitches.
You know.
They get stitches.
Yeah, that's right.
So is that why no one's flipping right now? With whatever more
Yeah.
they know, or is it the people who know more are in custody?
Wow.
I will go back and forth on this. I think that Chase may know something is off, but he probably doesn't know anything about anything of legitimacy. Jim is a very convenient and likely suspect, as Allison would say, like likely suspect. I mean, the boots are there. It's where the grain truck is. He's there. Why the heck he's there? He's got a super violent past. Beat the crap out of some guy with, a chair, and then, and he's known for shooting at people, but he's never actually shot anybody. So that's another point of contention for me. It's not like he just gets pissed off and shoots people. He gets pissed off and beats the shit out of people. So why didn't the guy's obviously big enough he could probably beat the crap out of Dylan if he wanted to or try to.
And
Yeah.
you know what? I hate to even say this because it probably will sound really crazy, but I mean, my mind has even gone down the thought if this is some type of human trafficking situation where it is way bigger than we think. It's premeditated. I mean, he has connections to the Philippines. There's some airport. I don't know about the pilot. I mean, I don't know what happened, but where is Dylan? And I'm kind of, at first, I'm like, oh, they got Jim Brenner, like forensic, physical evidence, but no charges yet. And then, like you, Teresa, have really made me think, like, how and why exactly was he out there? And then, Amber, your question, when was Jim put out there versus when did Dylan arrive?
Mm-hmm.
It just really makes you think.
Yeah,
Well-
like was he preyed on or
Well, what if there is a chain of command? Obviously, this is a smaller town. They're saying that there is some, there are meth houses and there are this, that, and the other. What if there is like an actual like chain of command in this little town? And yeah, you can go ahead and make your meth, but I'm going to take 10% of whatever you sell. And then you've got, Chase the drug addict, drug selling, potentially, who knows what he's out there doing. Robert's got a bad past. So what if Dylan figures out what's actually happening? And he is like, I'm going to call the cops. Like, this is crap. You guys can't be doing this.
yeah, he knew too much possibly.
Would make sense if he is that close to Kurt that we keep,
If him living with Kurt for an entire year. And here's another question, if anyone knows the answer up here in chat. Where is Kurt's other property besides the motorhome? He was sure to say it's a motorhome, it's not some camper.
Yeah,
where is
it's like,
Kurt's
it's nice
other
and
property?
stuff. It's not like
Yeah.
some cheap little
Some photo.
thing.
Yeah. Where's his other property? And how far is Kurt's other property from the saddle store?
Exactly. Wonder if Kurt put the word out on Dylan to two specific guys. And that's why he keeps pushing that too. That Dylan was ranting and raving about his money and where it was going and da-da-da-da-da. Maybe just like the psychic story, he's doing the same thing.
Yeah, maybe it was really Kurt who was ranting and raving about Dylan's money.
Exactly.
Uh-huh.
And that's the thing is having that farm, I mean, that would have really made somebody's prestige and power in the community. It's a small community. I mean, and that not only just having like the farm aspect, but employing people, that holds a lot of weight in a community, you know what I mean? And, it's just, I just don't know, like maybe Jim Brenner thought that Dylan was getting his cut from, you know what I mean? Like maybe it was Kurt, Jim, and then other people below. But then when Dylan started coming around and being friends with Kurt, Jim realized, wait, I'm getting cut out. I'm not second anymore. Dylan, I have to, you know what I mean?
Yep. Maybe there was a bigger plan to all of this, and maybe Kurt didn't do a certain part, and that's why Kurt's still free and others are not. And maybe they're holding out, and maybe with the promise that money will somehow, some crazy way, get to them. Like if Kurt has them, maybe that manipulated. Let's say. Maybe they think
what if they can't survive without him? Where does Jim go without Kurt?
Exactly.
And Kurt's connections.
Yep.
Because once again, I have an issue with that is not Kurt's property. So if Kurt kicks him out, does Jim make the phone calls to these people and say, hey, can I stay at this trailer? Does Kurt make the phone calls to these people and say, hey, I have this guy who needs a place to stay? Does Dylan start his farm, farming, and they need somebody out there to keep an eye on Dylan so Dylan stays away from the areas that they need Dylan to stay away from? And that's why Jim's put out there is to make sure that Dylan doesn't run into anything that he's not supposed to run into. I don't. That's what I'm saying. I'm not. Last week I'm telling you I was really sold towards the Jim Brenner very simplistic thing. Now I'm going more. That I feel like there's something else. Kurt says weird stuff, and it's not the fact that he says weird stuff because I think we all say weird shit, but it's how he phrases it, how he changes the pronouns and things. if you listen to that call, and like I said, we're going to try to get it so doesn't have any, like, it's not strikeable. It's just a regular version of the call. You know, maybe you guys are friends with Zav. I've never spoken to Zav outside of YouTube. Maybe we can see if she can just put up just the call itself.
Yeah. I'm friends with her on Facebook.
Yeah, so that's why I'm like, maybe we can just ask for it, because then the salty pancakes, I'm not sure if he's going to get back to us or not, but we'll see. Especially because, you know, if he is still friends with Kurt and we're over here talking about Kurt, he's probably gonna be like, hell no, we're not giving it to you. But I'm not closed off on the whole Kurt thing at this moment, because I think that he says really weird stuff that makes no sense. Why is he saying, well, Dylan's like, I'm gonna call the cops, and like, okay, so Michelle was saying earlier, she's like, you know, maybe he, just because he knows Dylan so well, he's kind of playing out like what he thinks Dylan would say. I'm like, but he doesn't say like, this is what I think would happen if Dylan was confronted. It's more like, so no, Dylan says he's going to call the cops, and then this guy says this, and then this happens, and now they're saying he's still alive. Well, who the fuck is they? Who's they? Who's they saying he's still alive?
Suggested or theorized about bring him out to the desert, tie him up, and until he tells you everything you know. Like he said it about when he talked to Justin about the psychic reading and that where Dylan was, and he said that he told Justin, we can tie him up and get whatever information we need out of them. And then he mentioned it again, like in theory about Dylan, like what happened to him. And I'm just thinking in my head, like, why does he have some like fixation about like tying people up until like they give him what they need, or, you know, it's just like very weird.
Probably because they did. The kid was not killed at that location. They took him to beat the crap out of him because he figures out what's going on, and he's going to call the cops, and they're going to put him in his place to make sure he knows that you're low ranking in this place, buddy. If we are the bosses, you want to stick around here and build your little farm and, you know, play farmer, that's on you. But this is how shit runs around here, and you're going to understand that. Now, problem is, he actually has family that cares about him, and they show up immediately. And now we're like, oh, shit. What do we do? Because we can get ransom for this kid, but it's going to lead right back to us. So now we've got to get rid of this kid. So they're saying he's still alive. Well, they're probably, you know, he's probably not going to be alive for much longer. Well, no, Kurt, he's probably not. Probably because you're telling him that he can't be alive much longer because now the family's freaking here looking for him. That's all speculation. None of that is factual. That's all just my speculation on what I am starting to go. That's the path I'm going down right now.
Yeah, and I said on a live I did at some point last week, I'm like, oh, I think it probably Dylan drove to the grain shed and had to contact Jim and they got in a fight. You know, that's kind of where my mind was. But I'm with you. I feel like at this point, if there was any blood evidence, anything like that found, any kind of, you know, if he passed there and then he would have had to be moved or whatever, I do feel like at this point, they would have found evidence of a crime, and it doesn't feel like they, you know, it doesn't seem like they have.
Because they haven't found the actual crime scene. Only the one that Kurt set up for him.
I agree, Kelly.
Yeah.
Something would have moved by now. There would have been something. There is nothing.
And maybe that's how Chase gets involved. It's like, hey, Chase, you know, we got this family that's around now. We need you to get this kid out of here. You got to take him somewhere else.
It's almost like he does it play by play when he talks about, you know, Dylan defending himself with his own boots, and that's why they were there where they, you know, where they ended up.
Yes.
I think that they took his boots and put them there. And Dylan, I'm gonna beat you with my boot. Like, I have a pistol in the car in my truck. I own a shotgun, but I'm gonna take off my boots and beat you with them. Like,
every guy knows you can probably fight better with your shoes on.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's raining and it's muddy.
And
I'm gonna take my boots off.
And is the wallet in the truck? Like, is the wallet always being in the truck true? Because if they were there that morning to collect whatever they thought Dylan had, they're going to, you know, he's going to say my wallet, or, you know, they're going to probably look for the wallet. Like, what was it actually confirmed that that's like something he does? The way Kurt says it's like, you know, he knows that he does this. He's a creature of habit that way.
Yeah.
Allison said that Zav said that Kurt and Dylan are related. That can't be true. Kurt said he and Dylan are friends. why would Dylan's dad be sitting outside Kurt's if they were related? Well, I'm going to go 2 parts here. Zav tried to say that Dylan and Kurt are related. Zav does a really good job, and I know that not many people have probably even knew this, but she does have people that work with her on a lot of genealogy. And I love genealogy. I have not done a family tree on this, so I cannot say whether Zav is correct. But if Zav thinks that, I honestly believe there's a reason that Zav thinks that, because she does have a history of having a lot of knowledge in the genealogy area. So I'm going to leave that there. The second part of that is, would Dylan's dad be sitting outside of Kurt's if they were related? Possibly, but if they're related, they're obviously not like first cousins or anything, but that doesn't mean they're not. You know what? I don't know. That's kind of weird. They could be related. Obviously, Grandpa knew all these people.
Right.
I don't know.
Justin Rounds is adopted. I know that.
Yes,
And
they both are, him and his sister.
Kurt, I don't know where he's lived his whole life, but Dylan, I think, has always been in Idaho prior to this, but I'm not.
Wait, we talked about this last week. Michelle, who else was from Idaho?
That JD kid.
No, there's somebody else. Was it a Wadsworth that was from Idaho? No. Crap. Somebody else is from Idaho, not the kid, but as one of these players was also known around Idaho as well. Maybe somebody in chat remembers. You guys don't remember, because I don't remember. Mormon Church right there has a huge amount of money, and expansion and land ownership is priority right in that area. The only issue I have with this is that Justin was not a practicing Mormon. Candace was not a Mormon, and I don't believe that Justin was really raised to be too religious in the Mormon Church. His grandparents were, and I'm sure they tried, but I don't know. I don't know how much the religion stuff comes into it. It could, but I don't know.
I'm thinking no, but I haven't really honed in on that aspect or angle.
They talk of the meth labs, and Kurt convenient. It's like for someone who does it, he's never done meth or anything like that, sure knows how to make it, how it smells, how it tastes, what to do with it. And apparently we're 3 other, he basically knows of 2 to 3 other places like where they actually have meth labs. He went from the beginning of his conversation that he didn't know, he wasn't 100%, to pretty much towards the end he was, he had 2 to 3 locations pinned down.
And then, I don't know, this part was just weird to me. Like, he was talking crap about Ty Corbin's teeth, and then he's like, my brother has bad teeth, but he eats the fried food before bed. And it's like, had this whole explanation how his brother would, like, get drunk or whatever, be deep fried food and eat it and not brush his teeth. And it's like, I just feel like the stuff Kurt explains and over-explains is so bizarre. It's hard to ignore it all in
I agree.
Dylan.
You can't tell half the time if that's just how do I say this? How Kurt is, or is that the alcohol and whatnot kicking in? Because
yes,
it's
exactly.
clear as day. I mean, he says it. Yeah, he does say it. I'll give him that. He does say it. He gets a little bit more enhanced when he consumes alcohol.
Honestly, I feel like Kurt is carrying a huge secret that's eating himself alive.
Yep.
I think that the way that he reacts and talked with Crime Time with Jess, and at one point, remember, everyone was like, oh my gosh, is he crying? I think that he really is distraught. At first, I thought it was because they were really close and he missed his buddy or whatever romantic relationship. I didn't really care at that point. But now that I'm thinking about it, I think that it has a lot to do with the knowledge that he knows in reference to the truth. And it's eating himself up, and he's using alcohol to medicate that. And I think that this salty relationship that friendship that he sparked up, and I think he was really ranting with him and thinking that like it was like therapeutic. Like I think he's like carrying this weight and making friends with this salty guy or venting with him on these phone calls, like drinking at the same time. Like I think that he's really processing stuff and he's hiding shit. And he can't like run and hide forever. It's how I'm feeling.
It's just pouring out. there's a reason why between his energy and then Jim, the PI, he does bring up, he was like, I wanted to help him, but it was the way he spoke to me. And I'm like, could you imagine this conversation? Could you imagine these two trying to talk? Oh my God.
Well, he also says stuff like, how Dylan was really messy. And I kept telling him, I'm not your mom. So, I'm not going to clean up after you and that kind of stuff. And then he talks about how Dylan wasn't close to Candace and how he really didn't have a mom or a dad and how he was basically his mom. And then he also, it's kind of a weird thing because he kind of adds in, and his dad. I was like, okay, that was kind of weird. But if you are his mom and dad, then why are you telling him I'm not your mom? And I don't know. It was a very weird turn of words that he was trying to do with this whole, I'm not his mom and dad, so I was telling him he needs to clean up after himself. Then it's like, I was his mom and dad because he didn't really have any family, and this kid, this, that, and the other. I was like, I don't really get where you're going with that. Steve Day said the Wadsworths were from Idaho. Okay, that's what I was thinking, but I wasn't 100%. Pointer Lover says, Zavgirl was saying that the Rounds and the Wadsworth families go way back, but Mom never mentions that. Well, it would make sense because she's not married to Justin anymore, so. Allison says, in my opinion, related means nothing. People kill family members all the time. Well, we know that for sure.
Right.
I think Dahlia says, I wasn't really talking religion. I was just saying Dylan's mom said he had big plans for that valley and he had big ambitions. Maybe certain people were threatened by that. I agree. I agree because that's why I'm thinking there's something weird about him wanting to purchase that land that the grain shed was on and then the owner and everybody working on getting the water rights for it. Is there something happening out there on that property that Jim is there to protect and make sure Dylan doesn't get access to, and that they can't have him on that property? They can't have him owning that property. So like the property that he owns now, that's fine. They can control that. It's whatever. It's this little tiny thing that's been sold over and over again. Nobody cares about it because nothing's happening on it. But this other property is established and has all these certain people. This is why I was talking about that RI and everybody else, because there's like 7 different people involved with this one property. What's happening on this property that they don't want Dylan to have it? Amanda's Vida. Hi, love. And then, let's see, Marshall says, just a thought. Since they bought and gave land to Dylan, was close to him, believe we're stability when okay, just a thought. Since they bought and gave land to Dylan, was close with him, Grandma and Grandpa, I'm assuming, believe we're stability when Candace left, etc. I got you, because they were high up in the Mormon church, so maybe he was more religious than I'm giving him credit for it. Let's see. I was thinking something he's involved with might have gotten Dylan killed. That's kind of what I'm thinking too. There's something bigger happening. If it was not, Marshall says, even if it was not the real motive, these criminals could have been paranoid and suspected that he needed to go. That good needed to go.
Yes, good point.
Ms. Marvel says, yes, it's like he knows and maybe he has guilt of some sort. Maybe he told somebody about Dylan's money or he feels culpability.
I think he set the trap up and he set the plan in the motion into the right people and it worked.
Does it make sense? I just saw an Under the Banner of Heaven now on Brain. Someone knows something. Well, that's for sure. That's a fact. Is that part of the issues? Pink Dog says, is that part of the issues of whether he has access to the keys? Well, this is another one that goes back and forth because Candace says that he did have his own key to that gate. So that, the whole narrative of he had to contact Jim to come and unlock the gate isn't true because he had his own key. I don't know how much Candace really knows about what's actually happening there, though.
That's the thing. Like, Candace could be incorrect about that, or Kurt's incorrect. Like, one of them it is incorrect, or like one of them isn't saying it correctly, and maybe not on purpose. But yeah, the whole key thing, we don't have a 100% clear, concise answer about did Dylan have a key and what the exact situation with the gate was. Like, I understand the family, I understand they said that, but they weren't out there. Dylan didn't always tell her things exactly how they went. We've proven that. So that's still a question for me.
Well, he doesn't want his mom giving him crap about what he's doing all the time. He's 19.
Right. And say Dylan didn't have a key, maybe his mom would have kind of been like, well, you need to get a key or, whatever, like moms do. Like, you need to figure that out and quit.
Yeah, like why would you have a key to where you have to hold your own grain? And this doesn't even make any sense. And that's bullshit. And I'm going to come down there and talk to those guys.
Yep. And so he's like, okay, Mom, I got a key. It's all good.
Yep.
When really,
There was no key.
To it, and he didn't.
Well, just like he's telling Mom, I didn't give Chase a ride when I gave Chase a ride because he doesn't want to hear the crap that Mom's going to say about giving some random dude on the street a ride.
Exactly.
I think a lot of that happened.
So was there a fight? Did Chase actually get beat up by anybody? What's this thing that Chase is out there wandering the desert looking for his kids that he dropped off already? Where did that come from?
Yep.
Yeah, that I think is a meth psychosis, like hallucinating type thing.
And according to Kurt, Dylan had called Chase's father and then handed him the phone or something like that. And in the background, as Chase was talking to his dad, asking about the kids and stuff, and the dad was asking him, like, have you lost your mind, whatever. And Dylan supposedly had said in the background, check your son for drugs, or your son's on drugs. Kurt trying to almost insinuate that maybe Dylan dimed Chase out in that moment, and then Chase had it out for him after that. And that the only reason why he could have been bloody, that there was no fight or anything, because he tweaks out and he's going through the, what do they call it, the terrain or whatnot, he's beat up from that.
Yeah.
Oh, like walking and dehydrated?
Yeah.
Well, what was he doing out there?
Who knows? Speaking.
Yep.
Yeah.
There's a whole lot
Okay. I've also theorized what it, like, again, this might be a little crazy and a little far-fetched. I mean, what if Kurt, like, placed, I'm just saying, if this is bigger and it was premeditated and they're trying to do whatever, what if Kurt, like, placed Chase out there? I mean, who knows? Like, got him all messed up and then wanted him to come across Dylan, so therefore he could be like, oh, there was motive there or whatever. I don't know. Just a thought.
like they would say in the cities, if they know someone has something, it's send the wolves on them. And they were kind of Kurt's wolves. And,
Or what if Chase was out there because he was getting some type of drugs from one of these houses, these meth houses or whatever that are out there, and they turn him away and they're like, dude, you're fucking tweaking, like, get out of here. We can't have you around here. You're going to draw too much attention. So now the guy has to walk wherever he's going. Like, does anybody actually know exactly where Chase was picked up?
No.
That would be interesting to find out, if we could find out where Chase was actually picked up in comparison to the whole circle. Where was he?
I wonder, because Jim Terry claimed he spoke to Chase and I think the dad and had some questions answered. So I wondered if going back to just kind of focus on Jim Terry, if he ever addressed that, but I don't remember hearing it. But I could have.
See, this is why, like, I know people don't like Jim Terry, but I'm like, I would totally talk to him because I have, like, I have so many questions. I would totally have these conversations.
You should have him on.
Yeah, I know, but then everybody's like, "Don't you dare have him on!" And it's like, oh, I can't. I got enough stress.
Research. I know, that's the thing. It's like, that's the thing. It's like, we want his information. You know what I mean? But
I do. And then you get in these chats where he's in, like, and I appreciate that he goes on to Doug's and whatever, but it's like, you can't ask a question and get an answer.
Yeah.
Because you got the 1,700 people in chat that are asking questions and they're asking their own questions. So, Steve, I'm under the impression the phone has not been found. I'm not sure who said it was, or if it was found. It was very, very recent. Phone was not found, wallet's not found, and the pistol that he kept in his truck was not found.
And the truck key fob.
Jim Terry speculated on Doug's last night that the phone was found, but we don't know for a fact, but he did speculate, like, I think they may have found the phone. But that's complete speculation from Jim Terry.
And I've also heard more hearsay, but that Dylan had two phones, and only one of them, I think, is the one that one of them possibly was found or something. Again, more speculation and hearsay. I haven't seen anything in writing or proof.
Okay, hold on. Kristen says Chase's dad picked him up at mile marker 53 after he gave Dylan a ride. After Dylan gave Chase a ride, and Dylan dropped him off at mile marker 53. Is that what we're saying here, Kristen? I want to make sure I'm clear because I'm not sure I understand that. Chase's dad picked him up at mile marker 53 after he gave Dylan a ride.
Yeah, so that was like after Dylan gave Chase the ride. Chase was picked up by his dad at mile marker 53. But I'm curious, and I know this is what you were getting at, Theresa, is where was Chase originally picked up by Dylan?
That's what I want to know.
Yes. Sorry,
Because,
I feel like that
yeah, that's what I
out
want to know.
But yes, exactly.
Yeah, where was Chase that he needed a ride? Like, where was he at? Did you know that Jim was the longest running backup kicker in stadium football? Oh, Marshall.
And he's 6'3".
They gave. Okay, I already said that one. Okay, it's a money grab.
Who's 6'3"?
Who's 6'3"? Jim the PI?
Yes.
He does not seem like he would be tall.
He's not 6'3".
How old is that?
Remember, he was short.
I'm like, wait a minute. Nuh-uh.
Too late.
It's like maybe 5'10".
I'm telling you, when he go back to his first interviews, his first like 10 interviews on YouTube, he goes, and it is true, I am 6'3", although you can't tell what the view that I am in right now.
I can't. That's great. Oh,
Such a good impersonation.
Hey, Candace did get into Dylan's apps, though. That's she said that. I missed where she said that. Did you guys hear that?
Yes. Yeah. So that's where people are saying, did he have another phone? Where they
No, she just logs in. You just log into like Instagram, and I can log into your account if I have your email and your password from my phone.
True, yeah. But yeah, Candace said in one of the first interviews that they were able to get into his Snapchat and social medias, and nothing stood out as abnormal.
Yeah, so if he's at home and he signs in on the computer and it's or whatever, or she he's had it on her phone or whatnot, or dad's phone. You know what I mean? I think that Allison said I sent CDT the link.
I want to know about that second phone now, though. He has a second phone that says a lot more.
Who has a second phone?
Isn't that what you guys just said? Dylan possibly had two phones.
That's kind of the rumor of things, but yeah, I don't think he had two phones.
Well, here's the thing that Jim, the PI, speculated on. Like, we know, according to Candace, Dylan was notorious for breaking his phone. He was always breaking phones.
Yeah.
And then Kurt claims Dylan would get mad and throw a phone around. So they speculated like maybe he had an older phone that didn't have service, but like you could turn it on and still access the apps, and maybe they were able to get in that way. But yeah, she did mention the app thing, and Allison sent me the interview timestamp around where she mentioned it. But yeah.
Oh, perfect. Will you send it to me?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the only story I've ever heard was Dylan picked him up in the desert somewhere on the way to Montello. That's what I've heard too, but I'd like to know where, and I'd like to know how is he randomly just out there? Where the heck did he come from? Why was he there? Was he out there?
Right.
This is like the whole weird thing is like, first story was he was out there, he'd gotten beat up, possibly by Jim or by Kurt, and we've heard both. And then he's bloody and has no shoes on. The next thing that's the newer one is that he's saying he was out there looking for his kids or some random stuff. I don't even know what that one is. None of that makes any sense to me. Where did this guy come from that to where he was picked up at?
Right. And I see what you mean by, I think, Kelly, you were saying, was it like a premeditated, like, did somebody put Kurt there and set up that like interaction possibly? And that way.
Chase there or Kurt?
Chase, yeah, put Chase there so that when everything went down, if this was premeditated, Chase would have been one of the last ones to really have had like some strange interaction, like with Dylan. But again, this is just a theory.
And yeah, Kurt could come out and claim like, Dylan told me he picked up Chase Venstra. He would have witnesses seeing that as well. He hates Chase. Like, it
could this have been premeditated and they were trying to plant Chase as a fall guy? It's obviously seems to be failing, but it's just a thought. It's the timing is all weird.
I agree.
I
It's like
agree.
First, you're the loudest drinker.
I just feel
Kristen
like
said-
you have to look at things that took place the week before. We've seen this in Summer Wells too. Like we've done the same thing. What was going on in their lives the days leading up to them disappearing? And the Chase thing, it really is sort of like people honed in on it. And then it was, now I'm looking at it as like, wait, was that just like the first distraction that Kurt put out there?
you know,
Right.
it was like he was the ready-made fall guy. See if it
But
would work.
why does Dylan tell his mom? This is Kristen's saying this right now. Dylan tells his mom that Chase has no shoes and was bloody, and Chase tells the police that he had his shoes and he wasn't bloody.
And then Candace says on Zab, she made it sound like locals and other people corroborated that Chase was bloody. Like, oh yeah, he was beat up. And then Kurt says a shoe and a sweatshirt. That is so specific of Kurt.
How does he know that?
And if he doesn't know that, why is he pulling that out of thin air? If that's, I mean, what is the truth here? It should not be this convoluted and confused.
Right.
You know, it shouldn't be this way.
And it's like, does Kurt know the details because he's just like making it up? Or does he know the details because Dylan told him and they spent so much time together so he would know the details? Or does he know the details because he helped stage it?
Agree. Like was Kurt physically with Dylan that day? Was it staged? Is Kurt lying? Is Dylan lying? Like, and I'm not saying Dylan, I'm not victim blaming or anything. Like, maybe Dylan just said it differently. Like, we all we know is the stories are not matching from person to person.
And if Kurt and
That's a good point, Steve.
if Kurt and Chase are enemies, then so here's the thing: if it's premeditated, and again we're speculating, would Kurt use that as like a means to start like some argument with Dylan? You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, oh, what are you doing picking up Chase? You know I hate that guy.
Yeah, like just stage it so that there's some sort of conflict brewing or something.
Yep. Put all those players in motion. I agree, Kristen. I agree.
Okay, so Donna says, didn't you guys speculate it might have been the other missing kid that Dylan didn't pick up? At first I did, Donna. I was trying to figure out because there was supposedly like multiple like people that were like out there with no shoes, and it was like there was like this whole weird shoe thing going on. And then you've got that other missing kid from before, that Aiden kid that didn't have any shoes on. Now Chase doesn't have shoes on. Dylan's apparently bootless. And I was trying to figure out why did Dylan, who tells her? I don't know. Like, I would not just call my mom and be like, oh, so this bloody guy who had just been beat up was walking down the street with no shoes on and wanted me to give him a ride. But like, man, I said no. Like, if I gave the guy a ride and I don't want to tell my mom, why am I telling my mom any of it? Like, she doesn't need to know. She's not going to find out.
Yeah, that always stood out to me too, which made me think maybe something happened in relation to that. Like, is Dylan seeing some issue happening, like foreseeing something, or is something going on, you know, in Dylan's life with these people that he's not 100% telling his parents, but it's enough where he wants to kind of like set off some alarm or like red flag?
Right. And is Chase telling Dylan like what the hell he's doing out in the middle of the desert? So does Candace know what Chase is doing out in the middle of the desert with no shoes and all bloody? That's why that whole thing is weird to me. Do I think that Chase did anything to Dylan? I still don't. But you're right. I think that that's a really good speculation. Was Chase put out there for a reason? And was he put out there to figure out what Dylan knew? Was he supposed to come into I don't know. That's a great thought process though. Chase probably didn't want to draw attention to the Ellie, what happened to him. I still think the hunting club. Oh, that he was taken out there to be hunted and he was getting away and Dylan took him. Allison wants to know, why do we think that Candace took Dylan's truck? I think that I have no idea, and I think that was a bad move. But why they let her take it? Why did she take it? There was no reason to take the truck. She didn't need the truck.
Yeah, people are just in shock when these things happen. You don't realize what you're doing, even if their radar was sort of alerted, like something's off here, like they're just in shock. Like, I don't fault them for taking the truck. I just wish it didn't happen that way, but it's just so many things have just gone wrong already in this like investigation.
I know a lot of people are like, now it's contaminated and this, that, and the other, but you really have to think forensically, it's really not overly contaminated. How many crime scenes have had people walking through them, on top of them? I mean, I know that you guys were around during the Kelsey Barrett case. Like, her family stayed in that house after it was cleaned up, and they're the ones who actually found the blood in the condo. You know, I don't think of it like as forensically like that she would have totally messed everything up unless she like was cleaning it, which maybe. Somebody asked earlier in the live, and I meant to go to it, that Candace cleaned the bathroom of Dylan's trailer, and people were speculating on why we thought that she would clean the bathroom.
Wait, can you say that again about the bathroom? I missed that.
So that Candace supposedly cleaned the bathroom of Dylan's trailer when she was there looking for him.
That's odd. If so, I mean, I don't think Candace had anything to do with it, but like,
I remember her saying how dirty or how it didn't look like. I mean, I can't remember her words, but I do remember her saying herself that it didn't look like he was staying there more.
Right, and
but
that she mentioned dog wrappers.
Yeah, I don't remember about the bathroom either, but that's interesting. But
I hadn't heard anything about the bathroom, but I was just thinking from a lady's point of view. And Dylan's been living there, and all these guys have probably used it. I need to go to the bathroom, and I'm not gonna go.
That's true.
You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
I need it cleaned. I probably clean it. Yeah, for my own personal use. Steve, no, I don't think Aiden Clune has anything to do with it. At the very beginning of all of this, when I was kind of just talking through things, there was all these weird things that were kind of coming up, and all these people didn't have shoes. I'm not tying those together. I don't know if Aiden Clune ever even knew who Dylan was, or Dylan knew who Aiden was. I have no idea. I just thought it was really weird at that time that we were talking about all these people with no shoes. Let me see if there's anything else in here. They found footprints from Aiden Clune. When the shoes, then he stopped and took them off. He did that several times. Then his tracks stopped, supposedly due to the weather. I don't know. I don't think they're actually tied together. Because otherwise they would have just kept Dylan's shoes instead of putting them over at. And I don't think they took Dylan from the grain shed and stole his boots and left his boots there. I don't know. That's just weird to me. I feel like the boots were put back there so that people would think that Dylan's last spot was there. That's how I feel about the boots. Until somebody tells me they were sopping wet and had been out in the weather, in the elements for days, I think that they were planted.
The boots are so strange. Like, why are they not with Dylan and the rest of his missing items?
Yeah, that's what drives me nuts. Like, even though we can all like maybe say that they were staged and placed out there, why though? Like, why is he barefoot? Or like, why they feel the need to take the shoes off?
And isn't it weird that Kurt specifically mentions the boots and what he feels was done with the boots? That Dylan used them as a weapon to fight off these guys?
Do I think he used the boots?
No, don't you find it odd that Kurt specifically mentions the boots?
I find that odd.
Uh-huh.
I think a lot of what Kurt says is really odd.
It's too red flag. Everything around Kurt. That's why I want him to keep talking. Who's gonna come out with the next phone call with Kurt?
I don't know. I don't know. I'll talk to Kurt. Let's call Kurt.
I think you would be good. Your questions would be amazing. You're going to ask those questions that
You are the OG of interviews.
Not on purpose.
You're just that good at it now.
Yeah,
Donna, I don't even know if I believe that Jim has his hat. Has anybody been able to prove that is actually Dylan's hat? It's a John Deere hat that was supposedly, like there's probably only a couple shops around that are going to have, and there was like a promotion on these hats or some stupid crap. I don't even know. I want to know if it was actually his hat.
all I know is it came from Duty Ron, and I trust that information. And he was speaking with Candace, like behind the scenes also. So that's why I feel like it was. But at the same time, until I see it 100%, I can't say that was Dylan's hat that he was wearing. I just don't know 100%. But I would like to think everything from that source is good and trustworthy, but I guess we just don't know yet.
Right. I think it was actually Ed Wallace on Duty Run who actually was the first one that said that was Dylan's hat. And I was like, wow, wait a minute, what? Where the heck did that come from? And those guys, I love those guys. So I would think that they know what they're talking about if they're going to say it out loud. But is it just from the picture, or has like law enforcement actually said, like DNA wise, this was Dylan's hat that he had? Is that part of the forensic evidence that Marshall was asking about earlier, like that turned this into a criminal investigation?
Could be.
And it's like, even if it was Dylan's hat, I mean, who's to say Dylan didn't, like, Dylan's not here to tell us the story. Like, who's to say how Jim got the hat? Was it willingly given to him or what, But the hat is interesting. I'd like to know, for sure. But yeah, Judy Ron responded to a comment and said that information came from the family.
Wow.
Yeah.
I have a screenshot. I'll send you guys.
Okay. I mean, I believe them. I absolutely do. I'm just wondering if the family just once again saw the picture and they're like, wait a minute, that's Dylan's hat.
Right. How deep does it really go?
Right. Is law enforcement actually telling them, no, there's not a real dog here, Ursa. That was on my computer. Come here. She's going all crazy looking for a dog now. I don't even know what I was saying. I lost it because she barked and threw me in a totally different direction.
Yeah.
What was I saying?
About the hat?
Oh, yeah. Did mom just see the picture and think like, oh my gosh, that's his hat?
I don't know.
Dylan's hat. Hold on. If Dylan's hat, Jim is a moron. If not Dylan's hat, someone found a photo, made sure that it got out. I was under the impression, you guys tell me if I'm wrong, that True Crime with Jess has somebody that was around that area that actually took that picture of Jim and sent it to her. Is that what you guys have heard about that photo?
Okay, well, the photo that she first released, and she was saying that was the only photo she had of Jim Brenner, was like him walking a horse, and you could not see his face at all, just his body. But then the picture, the first place I saw the picture with the hat was on a news channel.
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know. I just seen it floating around somewhere.
Yeah, the first one I seen of Jim in the overalls wearing that hat was from a news station. But the one True Crime with Jess, someone asked her, do you have a picture? The first photo I ever saw her share of him was he's like walking a horse and you cannot see his face.
BR the Star says she saw it on the news as well. I'm gonna have to go back and listen to True Crime with Jess because I swear that she said that, but maybe I am thinking of the wrong photo.
Because there was also that picture, and I know I'm guilty of doing it too. I put up a picture that Zap Girl had also put up, and it's a mugshot of some guy named James Brenner, and it's older. I want to say it was like 2012 or something. That's 10 years ago now, and he's wearing glasses, has an orange shirt, no beard, chubby.
I'm almost positive that is him. No,
I think it is. Some people don't.
I do.
I do too, and I think he's just now grown a beard.
Yeah,
and whatever.
I thought that was him. I thought that was just an old mugshot of his. He's been arrested quite a few times.
I seen Doug and No Thanks did a thumbnail, and he put that one, both the pictures of Jim that we know of, like face on, side by side, like into one frame, and I really think it is him. Like it matches like the nose and everything.
Yeah, I wasn't even questioning whether that was him. I just thought it was his old mugshot. Why we can't just get a new mugshot is really weird, but you know, he's in
I
federal
know.
custody, so it is what it is.
Yeah.
And I have two other things. We now have this new name. What was his name, Amber? Kevin Bibbins? Kevin Joseph Bibbins.
Who the heck's that?
And there's still this Jockey, small man character who is unnamed out there.
Yeah, I don't understand the Jockey thing. I haven't even figured that out.
Kurt mentioned horse trainer like twice. And then other people and Jockey has been thrown around too. But Kurt specifically said horse trainer twice.
But what does that have to do with anything?
Don't know. He was pointing the finger at him or something, wasn't he?
And Candace brings up that there is a short person out there who she has left out. And then she is asked, does that person know Dawn and Jim? And she says, absolutely. And she's like, they're about my build. And she's 4'11".
Okay, so who's out there that's around that build?
We don't know, other than Candace mentioned it. And I was like, well, maybe she was meaning that's James Brenner and just didn't correct it when asked, you know, Dawn and Jim, because I would think that would mean it's a third person. Never really thought about it again until Kurt's interview came out and he started talking about this smaller, short guy who's like a Jockey type. And so now my mind goes back, okay, Candace mentions this short guy. Who is this?
It's weird because I remember her saying that, and I remember thinking, and she's saying absolutely like that. I remember thinking to myself, because it is Jim.
Right, but it's not.
I think there's still question that there could be like another short person, and if maybe Michael Moore or Ty could like maybe narrow that down. I mean, it can't be that hard to figure out who the Jockey guy is.
Because ATS, Amber, did you hear where they were talking about Kevin Bibbins last night? I'm pretty sure Doug was like messaging with the local and said he's not that short. So I'm like, okay, Kevin Bibbins isn't the Jockey.
Okay, so who's this Kevin guy? Where's he come from? And that's a great point, Marshall. Why are they not name dropping this guy? Everybody else's names are out there.
Exactly.
Maybe they're protecting the inquiry behind this horse trainer? Or is this just another distraction?
I don't know, but they both mentioned it.
And Kurt doesn't refer to this Jockey person as potentially being Jim, right? Jim's not the Jockey guy, right?
No, he's not.
Right.
What the heck?
Yeah, who's the horse trainer? How hard can it be to find out who a horse trainer is in this?
Well, there's not many dudes that are going to be around the size of 5 foot.
Exactly. I mean,
you got a town of 50 some people. Who the heck is the other short little dude?
Yeah, and see, did Kurt actually describe him like he was a horse trainer, or was he just saying jockey? Because I kind of got lost and want to re-listen, but like I didn't know if he was actually saying he was a horse trainer, or was he just saying like he's like.
Is this in the 2.5 hour call?
Yeah, I have the timestamp.
Yeah.
Oh, you have the timestamp. Nice.
Mm-hmm.
We got it. I really
have the timestamp of it on whose
the
line?
one that's gone.
Oh, the one that's gone.
Back to the valley.
Well, hopefully Zav will hook you up with that audio or somebody. But I have something written down about horse trainer. Hold on.
Okay, you're probably right. I was just trying to sort it out. I'll look at what I wrote too. But yeah, so Kevin Bibbins, some local wrote into Doug about him, and then he asks Ty, and Ty's like, "Oh yeah, I know that name. You can look him up. He has a record."
He knows Kevin, or he knows. Yeah. Okay.
Kevin. And Kevin's not short. Nope, Amber, you're right. It says. Okay, no, never mind. Horse trailer. I wrote horse trainer, but I meant to write horse trailer. But I'm still looking. Here it is. Okay, a scenario of this other guy. Jockey size, really small. He is skinny. The tinier you are, the better you can ride a horse. That's all I wrote on it, but you could be completely right. And he did say horse trainer.
He said literally, I don't even know. I need
Right.
to listen to the audio again, and it'd be so much easier to just do the timestamps. But I wrote in
I struggled in the audio though because some of it is just like he's just
so
like I said
mumbling.
earlier, it's just so blah 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 blah. And I'm
Yeah.
like,
It might
I'm
be
like,
because
okay.
I used to be a bartender, so I'm used to listening to these drunk rambles.
Decipher it.
I'm like, got you. Yeah, I see what
Hey, what are horses being like? What are horses being trained to do out there? They don't need a jockey. There's not a horse race.
it's literally the Wild West. Like people, I guess, ride horses.
I know, but I'm just thinking like,
It's so like foreign to me, like to think. But I guess I don't know. All I wrote down was Kurt mentions horse trainer, and then I wrote down again a few lines later, horse trainer again. It's probably just another distraction, but then again, Candace
brings it up.
short, like or shorter person. It must be easy to find this stuff out, though.
And then did you hear the local? I don't know if she's a local, but she was on Tyler Feller. She claims that she speaks closely to Candace and Jazz or whatever her name is, who runs the official Facebook group, and that they said a horse kind of came out of nowhere and walked straight to the grain shed.
What?
And yeah, I have that somewhere too. But yeah, and then another local, or I think it might have been, I don't know, was it Robert Avilas's mom who talked to Doug and like speculated that they could have taken the body off by horseback somehow.
Yeah. I'm looking in one of the groups. I want to see if it has anything about jockeys. I don't know why there would be a jockey is for horse racing.
Right, and that's just like I said, that's just kind of how they described his stature, I think, is how I was taking it. Like he was describing his stature by using the word jockey. But then when I was saying this, they're like, I got a comment, it's like, a jockey doesn't necessarily mean they're short. I'm like, I know, I'm just going off of what Kurt said. And then Candace mentioning this. Yeah.
Most jockeys are short.
Right.
Yes, but they are for horse racing.
Right.
I mean, they are little and they have to stay very
Well, I
lightweight.
wonder if some turn into trainers, like once they're not racing anymore.
Oh yeah, I would think so. Yeah. Had the horse in Summer's case. So people do remember, I'm seeing a couple comments, remember that lady on Tyler Feller talked about the horse that went right to it, the grain shed.
I don't remember anything about a horse going straight. Yeah, I would go to the grain shed because I wanted some grain. I mean, it was a wild horse. There was a runaway horse in Summer's case too. That's so true, Pointer. That's weird.
There's a wild horse that befriended Jim, but it's not rideable. It's a Mustang.
Okay, now I'm going to go into a whole nother weird thing. You're telling me that a wild horse befriended Jim, the crazy.
Yes.
Because horses are supposed to know people really well, right? Like that's like one thing that's supposed to be known about horses is that they can sense whether people are good or bad. Well, like they have that level of intelligence. You're telling me a wild horse now likes Jim.
Well, again, this is a Mustang, so it's not like your regular, like, I don't know. That's just what I know about the horsey.
So weird. But someone could have ended their career in embracing and coming out to work. Yeah, jockeys aren't normally horse trainers. They're horse riders. My horses know me well for sure. They're very intelligent creatures who are supposed to be able to gauge whether somebody's like good or bad. I mean, that's obviously folklore. I can't prove that. Hi, Green Eyes. Welcome. I know we've been at it for about 2.5 hours, so we're probably gonna be wrapping up soon. But I there's just so much food for thought in what we've discussed. I like there's just so many different I'm still not sold any which way. I don't know about you guys.
Same.
Steve says locals have called into some lives saying they have been looking for Dylan on horses. There's a lot of horses out there. I wouldn't be surprised there's a lot of horses out there. I mean, I have a horse. I mean, I have so many horse tracks near me that, I mean, the horses can thrive. I just don't understand the jockey part is really what's throwing me.
And Kurt's the one who brought up the word jockey. That was Kurt.
But Candace does refer to some little dude
Mm-hmm.
that knows Jim and Don. And
Yep.
I'm not done with Jim and Don, because I'm still very skeptical on why there's no tracks around Dylan's place that they were out there looking for him. There should be something.
Agree.
Yeah, Allison, that's how I feel too. Like, yeah, the talks are good, and that's why I'm like, we can all see different things, and there's so much happening at the same time, and then putting it all together, it helps. It gives a lot of insight.
Yeah, and I just appreciate doing the panel talk too, because I mean, it's so hard to kind of speculate with you guys in our private chats and stuff like that. Like, I just feel like I get a lot of out of these panel and all that. I'm tired, but
I know, I am too. I'm like, that's like, we've been doing this for 2.5 hours. I could keep going because I'm like, my head is still spinning with all these questions, but I'm like, okay, yeah, it's late. It's really late for you guys. But hopefully we can do this again. We can do it on one of your guys' channels or whatever. I mean, I absolutely mean it when I literally have the utmost respect for both of you. I love your intelligence. I love the way you look at things, and you're just so kind. I love it. I adore you both.
Thank you, and thank you guys for having me on.
We love
Oh,
having
heck yeah.
Great discussion.
Yeah.
Michelle was like, I'm kind of sick, and I'm like, well, CDT and Amber are coming. She's like, I'll be there. I'll be there. I'm not gonna miss it. I'll be there.
I missed Amber. I felt bad. I'm like, oh no. And Kelly's I'll be there.
Yeah, it was a good time. Thanks, guys. And yeah, we'll definitely do it again. We need to just keep at this anyways, because we need more answers. So anytime.
And I feel bad because sometimes like we get stuck in like the same story, and I always tell like the subscribers, I'm like, you're literally listening to what I've done all week. Like, this is every week. It's like, this is where my mind has been all week. So you're just kind of getting what I've done all week, and it may be the same case over and over again, and then sometimes it's a new case. I don't know, because that's just how it goes. Do I have any mods in here still? BR the Star, are you still in here? Can you get that?
I did it.
You did. Thank you.
You're welcome.
But it's like, this is just at the end of the week, you get really what I've done all week and what I've been looking at.
And this is one of those cases where literally, I mean, we just did it for 2.5 hours. Like, you talk about one little thing and then you end up down a million different paths. And I feel like it's only going to continue until we finally find Dylan and get answers, hopefully, and justice.
Yeah, and I'm not firm that we're there yet.
Right, I'm not either. And I just want to clarify, by we find Dylan, I know we're not going to physically find Dylan. I wish we could. But I do think talking about it brings awareness, attention to the case.
Absolutely.
I agree. And Green Eyes, there's so many rabbit holes, and working it through with you guys on panel, for me, it does, I get to think things out loud, and I'm like, okay, that doesn't sound good. That doesn't sound right. Like, okay, I'm going to try something different. And then it gives me more questions, so that when I go to look at things, I can look at different aspects of it. Like, okay, wait, well, now I learned about some weird jockey little dude, so I got to look into that. But, just looking at things differently as I do go back and listen to like older interviews, or even like the newer stuff that comes out. So it's extremely helpful for me. Oh, Marshall, thank you. Thank you. Thanks, Criminality, Allie Cattails. Thanks, Criminality. And ladies, I got here late, so I'm listening to the replay. But before you go, have y'all listened to Kurt's full call with Salty? Allie, yes. I listened to the full call. I did not comprehend or take in the full call, if that makes sense. There was so much of it that I was like, and we were talking about this earlier, like some of it was just so like bleh that I would tune out, and I know I need to go back and do it probably 3 more times. What about you ladies? With the call.
listen to the whole 2 hour. It should listen to that 45 minutes that was out on the channel with the dancing Deadpool guy.
Oh, okay. Did you listen to Zav like as she was going through any of it?
I did here and there. I was in and out. I didn't know that they were going to remove the streams.
I didn't either. But when I went back to go, I wanted to hear the end of it. But apparently she didn't even play the end of it because I had to leave in the middle of what she was doing. Pink Dahlia, I am monetized, love. But I went to go back and then I saw that it was members only, and I was like, crap, you know what? But I probably need to just log into my Theresa S account because I still have memberships through my Theresa S account I never canceled. It sounds so bad. I just never went back to that account, and they're just there. So I purposely like when I would go to Amber's, I went to Amber's, I undid my membership and added it to the new one. CDT, same thing. Like I undid the membership and added it to the new one because I was in there so often. It was, I thought about it, but I haven't done it for all of them. So I still have a bunch of memberships on the old channel. So I should probably go check and see if I have that. Astral says it's hard to retain and comprehend with so much commentary, though I understand it. Yeah. So the full one is now out on Perplex. I was saying that earlier. The full one is out on Perplex. She does have some music behind it. I'm hoping that somebody will just post the actual call by itself, nothing else. And so that way it's not monetized. So, and I don't want it to be like a strikeable thing. I just want it to be where people can actually just listen to it. So we're hoping that maybe Zav can post just the call, or that Salty Pancakes will reply to our messages and let us have the call so that we can just post just the call on its own. So we'll hold out. But Perplex does have it in full on her channel. She posted it this morning. So if you guys want to listen to it there, you can listen to it there. I had to go back and that's where I had to listen to the end of it. So some of it's kind of like, I have not really put it all in my mind, but like there was certain things that stuck out to me and I was like, wait a minute, I'm going to remember that. Is the call worth listening to? I think it is. From my personal opinion, I think that you have to listen to it in parts because it is so much that and Allie Cattail says, I'd be curious to hear your thoughts on what Jim Terry released to No Thanks tonight, too. I haven't had a chance to watch it because we've been live, so I will look at that. And Pink Dahlia, you are too sweet. Thanks, ladies. I love you all dearly, and thanks so much for your time and your insight. You each hold a special place in my heart, and always great coverage. You are so... Pointer Lover says, treats for Ursa. Oh, my gosh, you guys. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. But Alley Cattails, next time we're on, I'll let you know my thoughts on what was released tonight because I'll have watched it by then. Any closing thoughts, ladies?
No, I mean, I just really appreciate the chat, everyone in the chat, chatting with you guys. And I know that, this case is one that we are all invested in and we'll keep following and see what happens. But yeah, I just hope Dylan's found and, he gets his justice.
I agree.
Yep. Find Dylan Rounds.
Find Dylan Rounds. I know that some are speculating that he might still be alive, which I would pray that he is, but I'm hoping that there's just some closure for his family. And I think that they're at a point where they're starting to understand that things are not as bright as they could have been the first, few days. So JT released calls with friends of Dylan's dad, Coach, who had some insights into Dylan's high school years with his parents, dynamics, and photos of his trailer right after the incident. Okay, Allie Cattails, I'll go look at we'll go take a look at that. I'm sure all of us are going to end up watching it either today or tomorrow. But once again, I love you, ladies. Thank you so much. I know it's so late where you guys are, and I appreciate you. I appreciate your time. Chat, thank you guys. I say this every time. I know that there's 1,000 places that you could go, and you choose to come here. So I thank you from the bottom of my heart for that. Before you leave, if you wouldn't mind just making sure that, one, if you're not subscribed, please subscribe. Two, if you just hit the like button, it helps the channel tremendously and helps show that you support us and what we're trying to do and get the information out there on these cases. So with that said, once again, thank you, ladies, so much, and we will catch you on the next one.
Love you guys.